Hello, everybody, and welcome to the No Zone. I hope you're all doing well on this Tuesday evening. It's Tuesday? Yeah, it's Tuesday. I've been streaming on the other channel quite a lot, so things have been all over the place. I will do two member streams this week because obviously I was to do a member stream, but things happened in the Manchester United fandom and the club, and I have to concentrate on that and get me content out. But we've got all that done, and hopefully we'll have some peace and quiet today in the United. It's never a dull day as a Manchester United fan. Let's just say. Yeah, I've been pretty busy with that. Christian should be with us along shortly. And then Queen Charlotte will be joining us shortly after 6 o'clock because she's having her tea right now. So she'll join us as soon as she can. So I've sent the links and all. So yeah, today we're just going to wing it. So if anybody wants to come into the chat, there's anything you want us to discuss as well, let us know. And we will give our opinion on it. Of course, if it's anything related to Doctor Who, you can ask the other panelists. Of course, I won't be giving my opinion on anything related to that. So, but if you want to ask the panelists, you are more than welcome to do so. Just don't ask my opinion because I won't be giving one. We got Raymond O'Reilly all the way from Tala, Dublin. Yay. And we've got JWC reviews. Raymond O'Reilly says, "Come on, the Spurs." Yeah, well, we won't talk about the start of the season we had. But if you do like football, lads, and I think JWC reviews follows me over there on the other channel. If you want to give me a sub, Raymond, I know I talk Manchester United, but I don't mind having banter with Arsenal fans and Spurs fans. Sure, I had to deal with all the Mason Greenwood fans yesterday, which wasn't, well, actually, it was a pleasant experience for me because I could tell them to go fuck themselves. But what you call it, yeah, I was dealing with all of that nonsense yesterday and over the weekend. So yeah, that was pretty fun. But the result wasn't great. But very bad week for United overall. I will say that, but we'll leave it there with the football. But we got 6 people watching. Do me a favor, will you hit that like button, please? It'd be nice. I don't always say it, and I should. So hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to me and all the guests that come on and the channels that they recommend. Remember, we're a very tight-knit community here, so we like to support each other. So please subscribe to everybody that does come onto this channel because they're all decent people. I don't bring on scumbags, as you know. I bring on decent people and people with different. Well, I try to bring on people with different opinions, but people won't come on here. But the few that do are good people, and we don't always have the same opinions, and that's great. That's what makes the fandom, or that's what makes a fandom, I should say. No one minds giving banters to the yeah, they got lucky yesterday, didn't they? But we won't get into the football. We'll leave that for the other channel. But yeah, subscribe, man, so we can have a chat about football. Because I will be mostly focusing on my team. But if you come in and ask me my opinion about user teams, I'll give it. I don't shy away from a sort. Sure, I said it to the JWC reviews. I don't think Arsenal will win the league. But no, the Ahsoka premieres tonight. The latest from Disney Star Wars. Are you going to stay up all night and watch it? No, I stopped watching Disney Star Wars after The Mandalorian. I don't even think I finished The Mandalorian. I definitely watched the 4th season, and I watched, I think, half of the 2nd season, and then that was it. I tuned out. I haven't watched that from Disney. I don't have any plans of watching that from Disney. I haven't even watched Indiana Jones. I and I have no plans to do so. No, until Disney start writing decent stories again, you know, stop with all the nonsense, then I don't want that to do with Disney. So that's why I got rid of the Skybox, as I told you. I don't have BBC One anymore because I'm not supporting Doctor Who in any shape or form. I don't have BBC anymore. So I'm actually serious when I say I'm going to do a boycott. So I'm done. Do you know what I was watching last night? Knight Rider. I've been watching Knight Rider, The A-Team, Dallas, and I've been watching old movies with Charlton Heston and co. Great movies, right? Earthquake, I watched a couple of nights ago. Great movie. The Towering Inferno, I watched that again. I love that movie. And I've watched all the airport movies as well. And of course, the Planet of the Apes franchise. So that's what I've been doing. I've been watching old TV shows, old movies, and I've just been having a blast. But here we got Christian in the background. We might as well bring him on there. I think he's typing away. I could see him on camera, and he's on camera, folks. So this is good. What about MacGyver? Yeah, I'm a fan of MacGyver. I haven't gotten to MacGyver again, but I do plan on watching MacGyver again. But I guarantee if I watch it, because what I have noticed about all of these TV shows that I watch, they are very cheesy, but it's good cheese. It's good cheese. So I know MacGyver was kind of out there, you know, give him a fucking needle and thread and he'd be able to make a weapon out of there. So just like the A-Team. Funny, man. Yeah, but I've been watching Knight Rider. I'm really enjoying Knight Rider. I'm on the 7th episode of season 1. So I'm enjoying that. So let's bring on the guest. And of course, we will have Queen Charlotte joining us soon. But we got Christian from the Legend of the Traveling Garden.
Hello there. Can you hear me okay? My microphone's been...
No, we can hear you. Hear you.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, it's deadly, man. It's deadly. I love it. I mean, Hasselhoff was actually not bad acting back in the day. But yeah, I love it. And I love the interaction between him and Kit. I never realized how funny and how much of it as the season goes on, you could see that they're developing even though it's a computer processor, like you could see that there's a relationship starting to grow there, like a friendship. Like it's actually quite nice. I like it. And Kit has saved Michael a few times already now. Like, so, yeah. And, you know, I love the fact, you know, Kit gets angry with Michael when he does something that he doesn't want him to do to the car. It's brilliant, man. I mean, listen, they don't even have imagination nowadays, man. That's just... well, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe it's just they don't... it's a lack of imagination or it's just laziness. But even back then, like, they could make silly concepts work and turn them into decent TV shows. I mean, the A-Team, let's be honest, it's a crap premise. Like, it's stupid. Like, you know what I mean? Even TJ Hooker, he was a detective. His partner gets shot. He goes back out onto the streets with a new partner, right? But he's training the academy, but you never really see him train the academy, but yet acts like a detective. Like, it's the stupidest premise in the world, TJ Hooker. But as a show, it works. It works. Even though it's stupid, it makes no sense. Why wouldn't he just set TJ Hooker the detective? It would have worked much better, right? Well, because they wanted to stick the police academy in it, they had to come up with a story. I was reading the background for it and all. It's mad. It's mad. But yeah, I'm really having a good time watching old TV shows. What about you, Christian? Are you delving back into old TV shows, or you still watching some of the new crap that they're churning out?
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm not even going. If I had a choice, yeah, I would probably watch some old TV shows, like especially growing up at that time, which was, you know, the A-Team, Knight Rider, Dukes of Hazzard, and we just what happened to just having mindless fun? I mean, if there was just a half decent story that was just added on, we just wanted to see. It's the same thing about Doctor Who. There were some times I didn't care about the story. I just wanted to see if Tom Baker showed up. what he was saying half the time. We always knew that the bad guys were were a little camp, and we'd see what was going on in the background, and they were doing this horrible thing. But most of the time, it was just like, yeah, I wanted to watch the interaction between David and Kit, or Michael Knight, I should say, or I want to see, what kind of shenanigans they were pulling off on the A team, or what the Dukes were doing. Sometimes it's just to have fun. It doesn't really have to be, totally specific, but they usually had some good stories. And remember, the
Yeah.
selection that we had back then is not as monumental as it is now. We can choose almost anything we want. We can go back to the past. We can watch the stuff that's coming out. And I meant, even now with the discovery of people doing their own streaming, like you, like me, like people on YouTube. I'm watching Mr. Ballin now. I love that little mystery type deal.
Yeah, I like his channel. Cheryl actually was the one that introduced me to his channel. He tells some good stories, I have to say.
Yeah.
And I love the way he exaggerates them as if he was in the room himself, the way he describes it. But it's brilliant storytelling, and he really does get you. He really sucks you in every time he does a video. I have to say, I love him. I actually do. He's brilliant. He is, actually. I didn't know you listened to him, but yeah, he's brilliant. I love those type of YouTube channels, actually. They're the type of YouTube channels myself and Cheryl will watch, us those type of stories, the channels like that. And Aussie Man, we love watching Aussie Man as well. I mean, he's pretty cool.
I never thought I'd actually see where I would be more inclined to watching for more independent YouTubers like Gary from Neurotic, Clownfish TV, I guess I don't know if you can call him independent anymore. He's getting mainstream, but Louder with Crowder, and just a plethora of YouTube or personal people who put out their content. I've been watching that instead. I'd rather watch that. There's no commercial interruptions. There's you can always chat with them live. It's just kind of fun. And I have some local friends that I'm doing it. The Ravens flock. Some friends that I peruse and that I kind of my friend the Kitchen Killers. They put out live music every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night, and I just watch them sometimes. It's interesting that I've kind of gone off the corporate bandwagon and start looking at the indies, because I think there's more credibility, more entertainment, and just more fun watching my friends do stuff than it is to see what's going on with this genre next. And like you said, it's kind of disappointing when you're like, okay, I do, I want people to be paid what they're worth, but what I've seen recently is nothing what they should be worth. It's just like, okay, it's a catch-22, and I'd rather super chat some friends of mine and keep them running than to watch the stuff that's on the streaming service. But that's just me.
No, there's a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people say the exact same thing to you. They'd rather go and listen to their favorite YouTuber or whatever it is rather than watch something now. Because, you just see a lot of people even throw up photographs, screenshotting their TV, and they're watching Gary or they're watching Critical Drinker or all of these people.
Yeah,
they'd rather sit down at night time and watch all of them. But this is a great question by JWC Reviews here. There's a question. What show did you hate as a kid that you love watching these days? Oh. That is a good question.
And it's true. There have been a few shows that I've just brushed off as a kid, and then as an adult paid
I've loved them,
but I can't think of them off the top. I wish. That is a good question, JWC. I can't. And there's quite a
hold
few.
on, I'm gonna try answer it. I'll think of one. I'll get back to you on that one. But I'll think about that one. But we got Leland in the chat as well. Mother Nature's show is also in the chat. What's the topic? Oh, we're just talking random stuff, but if you want to ask a question like JWC Reviews has done there, we got Tomboy in the chat as well, Raymond O'Reilly as well. If I've missed your name, just put your name in the bottom of the chat there, and I will read it out. Let me see.
While you're looking for that question, I just want to expand a little bit on what we just talked
Actually, I
about.
know what show I didn't
Oh, okay.
really like as a kid that I like now as an adult, and it's gonna trigger some people. But as a kid, I actually hated Red Dwarf.
Oh,
But
wow.
as a,
Okay.
but as an adult, I love it now. Like, so that's my honest answer. It would have to be Red Dwarf. I remember my cousins were mad into that show, right? When we were kids, right? And I'd be sitting there and I'd be bored out of my fucking head. I didn't want to watch it, right? But I was far because back then you just watched what all your cousins watched. You know, you're all in the one room. You're watching what's on TV. That's it, like. But they were into Red Dwarf and I wasn't. And it's only as an adult that when I say adult, I say more into my early 20s, young adulthood. I got rewatching. I rewatched the show, and I love it. So yeah, I knew that would trigger for Red Dwarf. Why, for fuck's sake? I was just, as a kid, it's just certain. I mean, you asked the question. I'm just giving you the straight answer. I don't know.
I actually haven't
It didn't.
finally.
Do you know what it probably was? I was a Doctor Who fan, right? And I was so engrossed in that and mesmerized by that other sci-fi shows that were done, I didn't give them the equal chance that maybe I should have. And Red Dwarf was definitely one of them. So that's my answer. It'd have to be Red Dwarf.
Well, for me, Red Dwarf
So,
was kind of like the gem that was just, it's the best kept secret that was secret. I found Red Dwarf on a friend's VHS tape by accident, and because it was one of those things where he recorded over and over again. I saw my first episode, Crichton, all chopped up. He even recorded over the title sequence, and it's not like I had Google or any social media. I had to figure out where this came from nowhere, and my friend didn't know at the time. But finally, it just kind of Red Dwarf wife. Yeah, I got you.
there, look at fucking Lee Halford said for him it was Dad's Army. I mean, even I kind of like that growing up as a kid, but there you go. Do you know what I mean? Dad's Army, everybody would probably say to you, you're crazy just because, and I said Red Dwarf. Like, it is mad though when you think of it, these iconic shows, because Dad's Army is an iconic show as well, but it's not everybody. That's the beauty about TV. Not everybody is going to feel the same as other people about certain TV shows, and I love that. I mean, I know that shocks people, Red Dwarf, right? I didn't even want to say it because I knew people would be shocked, but it's the truth. But Dad's Army as well. I mean, if someone said MASH, I'd be saying you're off your head. But, that's what I mean. And some people wouldn't like MASH, Christian. That's the thing. It's like, you know what I mean? Everybody, that's what I love about us as humans. We've all got different tastes. We're not always going to enjoy the same thing. Or we're not going to enjoy it at the same time, but maybe later on in different time periods during your life. And that's what's amazing. These AirPods, I'm going back to wires. Fuck this wireless shit.
For me, I'm going to say this. This is probably going to hurt me.
Go on.
Anything in the Berman era, except for the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and definitely Enterprise, I kind of, after a while, I wouldn't say hate them. I just kind of fell out of them. At some point, I just like, no, I'm good. I think I'm done with the series any further. And thanks to streaming services, I think I've definitely binge watched Deep Space Nine. I definitely binge watched Voyager, and I might think about doing Enterprise at one point. But at some point, when it came to Deep Space, I thought it was way too dark. I thought it was just, well, it's the opposite of Star Trek, because now we're stuck on a space station. We're not going anywhere with the exception of this wormhole. And it was more, for a better term, space political, because you had the Jem'Hadar and everything that was surrounding what was going on by Bajor. So it wasn't Star Trek. We weren't discovering new stuff. They would bring back the old, they would kind of recycle stuff. They would bring back Romulans and Klingon. We weren't getting like any new items at the time. So, but when I went back in there as more of an adult, it kind of resonated with me, some of the themes. Same thing with Voyager. Voyager, I kind of just fell out. It's like, are they eventually ever going to go home? And then just like at some point, I'm just like, no, I'm not following this anymore. Then I just binge watched it. And I was like, dang, why didn't I just stick with it and just enjoy it to the very end? Enterprise, I kind of fell out of love with because it just got weird.
Yeah.
From the moment that I heard that theme song from Patch Adams, I was
my mother loves
weird.
that. I know. It's not a Star Trek theme song at all, is it? But it's very popular. My mother loved it. Actually, my mum and dad loved Enterprise. Listen, I got about Deep Space Nine, because you make a very valid point, because I started watching Deep Space Nine, and it's very interesting that you said you fell out of it, because that's exactly what's happened to me. I got to the point where it was starting to get interesting, but because I'd watched all the other shit before, I was like, oh, I just need a break from this. I needed a break, and I haven't gone back to it yet now. But I stopped on as it was starting to get good now. I mean, I've enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie. It's not, when it was out at the time, I couldn't get into it. And I know, and now I could see as an adult the reason why, because the first few seasons are absolutely dire. They do have some good episodes within the season, but overall, it's pretty poor. It's only when it gets midway through the show, it started to get better for me. But then by the time I got to that point, I was like, oh, I just can't be bothered now. I'm just going to take a break and watch something else. And that's what I did. I got distracted. But Leland says, which old show should definitely not be remade because it would be ruined? Well, that's an easy answer for me, because obviously we know that
all of
them. Obviously we know that Faulty Towers is John Cleese is coming back to do another Faulty Towers, and I don't think he should come back and do another Faulty Towers. I mean, that's considered one of the best, or if not the best British comedy of all time, and you're remaking it, and then you're going to poke fun at the left. So, while we give out about the left, about using their shows to push a certain political agenda, well, then we must also call out John Cleese, because he's going to use Faulty Towers to call out the left. Now, while some people might think that's funny, do you honestly want them to use an iconic show like Faulty Towers to do that? I don't. The thing about Faulty Towers that made Faulty Towers great was that they poked fun at everything. Everything. And I mean everything, right? Nothing was left to the imagination. But with this new iteration, he's going to just concentrate solely on the radical left. And I think it's not going to be Faulty Towers. It's going to be a cheap fucking version of what we got before. And I don't want it. So for me, it's Faulty Towers. For you, what's your one, Christian? Have you got one on the top of your head? Off the top of your head?
I'm a little skeptical about Faulty Towers. I want to see where John takes it. And if it's just, it's the same way that every once in a while you'll watch a comedy or you'll watch your favorite show and you'll hit that, what I've now called the cringe speed bump, which you just derail everything because, hey, you were doing great for the first 20 minutes and then you had to have this joke. A certain doctor show does that a lot. It's just like, why did you go there? What was the purpose? What was happening that we needed to go into this spot? Because it's chic. Everybody was doing it. Now you got to do it. It's, I thought you were the standard. I thought you were the separate one. And with Faulty Towers, what was it? Only 8 episodes? And John Cleese said, they asked him, why didn't you have more episodes? He basically said, I know where to stop. That was it. That's all we needed to say. That's all we needed to tell. And that was it.
That's what I mean. And this is kind of like all these years later now, what's changed? Like, you know what I mean? Now you're bringing... Listen, if you want to get back into the limelight, I have no problem. I think he's a funny man. He did say some awful things about my people, but, unlike most people, I'm willing to move on from that because I still think he's a comedy fucking genius. But don't use Faulty Towers to come back. Write something brand new with your daughter. And don't call it Faulty Towers. Call it fucking something else. Or even make it a Faulty Towers fucking spin-off that doesn't interrupt the act that came before. do a fucking spin-off with your daughter or something. You have a daughter, you're running a hotel or something, it's a downgrade or whatever, and mad and funny shit just happens like in the original. But he's not going to do that, man.
Well, here's a show that I think, and it's kind of proven now that it shouldn't have come back. Night Court. It was one of my favorite shows of the '80s, and it had a terrific ensemble cast. It was lightning that was caught in the bottle at the right time. You had John Larroquette, you had Harry Anderson, you had Marky Post, you had all those talented people, and they bounce off each other. One of the things I loved about it being um, the ensemble cast is that occasionally, and most comedy shows did this, they kind of went off of one character. It was like they would spread the love to other characters, so we would get a backstory and something, and then that would enhance another story. So to bring back Night Court, and it was just John Larroquette, and I hadn't even seen the series, and I'm not even know if I want to, but it's up for one season. I think they were talking about a second season, but it's been put on hold. And I was just like, you're trying to reinvent the wheel. It was done once. You don't need to do it again. There's nothing that's going to get better than this. You can try, but but for me, it's Harry Anderson, it's John Larroquette, it's Marky Post, and all the ensemble that went with it that worked together. They brought it back. They even used the old theme. They kind of spruced up the old theme, but it was. I don't know why it just comes into the society of like we have to unearth the old TV shows that are dead, and let's see if we can bring them back. And I said at some point you just leave them in the ground. I mean, they were a part of their time. Leave them to be if you want to try. But my first question on any time that they do either a spinoff, a reboot, or something was, why are you doing this? You better have a good reason why you're doing this. It's not that I'm not on board. And
I don't know, man. I just don't trust them, Christian, with our franchises anymore or shows that we've watched because they never do them justice. And what's
worse is when it comes to the social media, the onus is not on me to come back and be a fan and say I love every episode. No, the onus is on you as a entity or a company or product, and you've got to convince me why I need to stay. If I'm so used to a certain, like, let's say a car, let's say I'm driving a Volvo, I'm just coming up with a product, and then all of a sudden you decide, you know what, we best if we got rid of that power steering. That was just, nobody ever uses it, and what we're going to do now in the next series is inflate the tires and make them bigger. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm used to the power steering. That's what made my car work, and if you take it out and make bigger tires, how's that going to make anything better? Why should I stick with you? And that's the thing with shows that have been that kind of push that have this ideology of pushing, old geekdom or older fans away. It's just like, remember, you're here because we're here. You're here because of what happened. You wouldn't even be here unless we supported it and stay supported even after it went off the air or took a break or whatever you're planning on doing to do this show. You're going to have to respect that something came before. And if you try to redo it or something, the best line I've ever heard of the scenario is from Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. It's Captain Kirk going, people can be frightened of change. And if you are not going to hold my hand and say, hey, you know what? We're taking your product where it's in good hands. We're going to enhance it. We're going to put it in a position where we're going to take what was old and bring it into the new. And we're going to welcome everybody who supported all this way. And you're going to enjoy what we're going to do with it now. That should be the approach of every geekdom, every production for its senior people. And when they bring it into the new stuff, they can have the new generation appreciate what came before in the show that you don't talk about anymore. But if you don't, you have what's going on today where it's just old and new generation, and you have social media going like, well, if you don't appreciate this, then they name call, name call, name call, name call. That's not getting me over the hump. That's going to make me rebel, and that's when you're going to start losing money. And then why did you do this in the first place? And then you're going to start having people just disavow what you did.
Mm.
At some point, I'm saying Rick Berman. That's it. That's where Enterprise cut off. Everything from Enterprise before is what I acknowledge, and I don't acknowledge anything else. And I tried to watch Discovery. And after the first episode where she's crying in the jail and she convinces the jail to get out, I'm like, no, not with you. This is garbage. Absolute garbage. I mean, like, I don't know what you're doing here, but I don't like. Kind of like the Nucleons, the idea of taking their sarcophaguses and making ships out of them. But again, this is not Rick Berman, from Gene Roddenberry to Rick Berman time. This is a completely new Star Trek. This is your own thing, and you do what you want, but don't expect me to be on board.
Yeah. Tom Boy says, can we really do another Faulty Towers, as the hotel would now be taken over by asylum seekers? The Twilight Zone was mad all show growing up. Yeah, we watched the Twilight Zone here in Ireland as well. I know it was big in the States. JW says he should call it a faulty world, much better and appropriate for slagging off the left. Yeah, well, I don't think he should make it, but there you go. It's going to happen anyway because, that's just the way it is, I suppose. I mean, he's still funny. I mean, some people call him a dinosaur now. I disagree. I still think he is funny, but I wouldn't be using. See, it kind of, to me, when I see this, it's like directors in Hollywood where they try to remake some of the classics, movies that they had, and then it ends up being worse. Like, leave it alone. It's like trying to reclaim old glories. Like, and he's older. Is he going to have the energy to be moving around like Basil did? I don't think so, man. This is a bad idea on so many levels. It is. And even though BBC turned him down and he said he was going somewhere else with it, I mean, they probably looked at it as well. And listen, I'm not a fan of the BBC, and you know that. But if they turned it down, well, in fairness, their comedy hasn't been great over these last, 10, 15 years to being shit. So, I mean, they wouldn't know what comedy is if it hit them in the face anymore. But, even they turned them down. I mean, I wouldn't touch it. Picard season 3 was decent. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I mean, I get where Christian is coming from. There is a definite, difference in the quality of Star Trek eras. You can see that. And I do agree. I don't think since the original show, anyway. And listen, I grew up with Next Gen, and Voyager is my favorite. I don't think they've ever bettered than the original series. Ever. They've come close, but they've never surpassed the original, and never will. They never will. No, they won't. Fans will never be happy anyway.
Well, it's a combination of corporate and social media. That's the fault. And at some point, when you've pushed people out so far, like I haven't seen, the only time that I watched Picard was, I would catch internet clips from YouTube. I don't even have what is it on now? Paramount Plus or whatever they call it. I would catch these little clips on YouTube when I first heard, and it's strangely enough, I usually want to go in and watch a show myself and try to get something out of it. Now I watch you, I watch Gary, I watch Confi, and it's like I listen, I watch the Critical Drinker, and I'm like, I will listen to them first and make my decision to go forward. So 1 and 2, when I saw what had happened, I was just like, God, why for the series? But then when 3 came out, a completely whole change of attitude. Picard at 3 is up there with the best of trend. Yeah, and people were going to forgive series 1 and 2 because 3 was where it should have gone in the first place.
I don't think people. No, I don't think people were willing to forgive the first 2 seasons. I think, like all fans, what happened here with season 3 was that you got Terry coming in. He understood the frustration of fans, and he produced something that was absolutely wonderful, and we all got behind. I don't think, if you even hear what people were saying, they were saying dismiss season 1 and 2 of Picard and just watch season 3 of Picard. So I don't think there was an acceptance, or or people were making excuses for the first 2. They weren't. They still hate them, and I hate them.
Well, maybe
I don't.
forgiveness is not the word I'm looking for, but they were willing to overlook it because 3 was where it should have been, and that's it.
Well, they were willing to overlook because Terry had given the fans something that they could get behind. And listen, that's exactly what will happen if Kurtzman and Co were to do the same. If they were to just give fans what they wanted, right? He would have success after success after success. It's not hard here. Terry showed that if you come in and give fans what they want and give us new stories while doing it, it will be a success. So, at the end, I know there was people and all, even the people that were calling for people to boycott Paramount Plus and Kurtzman Trek. Even those people were coming out and praising season 3. They had no choice because they seen it and they felt it like we did, even though some of them pretend that they don't. They felt it. They felt for the first time since Kurtzman and Co was being there that they actually got a series that basically resembles fucking Trek that we grew up with. And that's season 3. The fans will never forgive Kurtzman and Co. But as I said, if you like, it's too late for Kurtzman anyway, right? They should just bring Terry in and his people and let them run the show, because it's been proven that if you give Terry the reins, you're going to get decent Trek anyway. Yes, people will still have issues with certain things that he does, but you got to ask yourselves, is it any worse? It's not as bad as what Kurtzman's been giving us. And at least with Terry, he does the research, and his team have done the research, okay? Because the episodes have been great, well-researched. You could tell that he's done his homework, and that's all fans want. Whereas Kurtzman, for Strange New Worlds, thinks that the future Star Trek is getting them all to fucking sing.
I actually came up a while back, and I had put it on my Facebook before it got hacked, but I did come up with an idea. If they were going to do Picard, what should have happened is it was a combination of what ended up being is it's at the moment. This was my fanfic, and this is before even the first episode came out, and I wish I'd put it somewhere besides Facebook before I got hacked and I lost it. But the idea is that Picard was retiring, and he's on a space station, and everybody around him is, he's now Admiral Picard, and he is going to retire, and he's walking around. Next thing you know, the party is completely gone. It's just him on the ship, and there's Q. And he walks right up to him and he goes, "I'm not done with you yet." And he just basically lambastes and says, "Who said you could retire?" And Q just lays it on. And then all of a sudden, Q disappears. And there's this distress signal coming from another quadrant. And it is the Borg calling for help. And that's where
they've actually done that with Jack. They've actually done that with Picard's son, Jack.
I never put in like a kid or anything of that nature. It was just, that was my idea of.
That's why everybody's calling for Star Trek Legacy, because Q appeared to bleeding Jack at the end of that series, and they teased it up and they set it up so if they do get the green light, and it's gone all quiet on that, which makes me think now Kurtzman has reasserted himself because Terry showed him up. I don't think we're getting Legacy now, and that pisses me off because I wanted to see 7 of 9 as captain. you know, and it won't happen. And now I'm pissed. I don't think we're going to get to see it because,
I don't know.
you
Like I
know,
said, anything that's attached to Kurtzman, I haven't watched it. And my friends who asked me who watched the stuff, and they were like, "Well, what'd you think of it?" And I said, "If it's attached to Kurtzman, I don't watch it. Lower Decks, no. Strange New Worlds, no. I don't even watch little YouTube segments. I actually go back and been watching like Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Discovery. Oh no, sorry, not Discovery, Voyager. I was just like, and Holton says it best: make something with love and respect, or don't even bother. Why are you doing this?
yeah.
And if you can't answer that
Mother Nature.
question, or you can't get me to cross the line to where, oh, I see what you're doing. Yeah, let me do that. Why am I coming here?
Uh,
You have to convince me. It's not the other way around, and it'll never be the other way around, or else I'll let the doors hit me on the way out.
yeah. As a Dubliner like myself, Noel, you have to admit to hearing Glenroe music on a Sunday night and realising you are back in school tomorrow and your homework wasn't done. Oh, bleeding Jesus, don't remind me, man. Do you know what I used to do? I didn't even do me homework on a Sunday. I'd get up early on a Monday morning. I'd do me homework over
Yep.
breakfast and rush me homework. Even before the teacher came in, I'd have to finish a bit of homework and I'd have the homework done as soon as the teacher walked into the classroom. So, yeah, I do remember that. Glenroe, for anybody that doesn't know, obviously it was an Irish drama kind of soap show that was on a Sunday night here. It was the most popular show. You had the Reardons as well, which was huge back in the day, but Glenroe kind of overtook it. And it was basically a farming community, bit like your Emmerdale nowadays, but Irish. And, the big topics back in the day when we were growing up were, Miley having the affair and stuff like that. It was gripping stuff. And when Biddy died, we are all sad we were. And then the show collapsed shortly after that. But yeah, that was a big thing in Ireland. Glenroe. I still have fond memories of that. That was a great show, and I loved the music. Do real Irish it was, wasn't it? Do. Blue Beetle apparently is decent, but the super movie fatigue has kicked in. Yeah, look, again, I just see people give their opinions on that movie. At the end of the day, I'm gonna wait until it comes out. It's a movie that, as you know, it's the movie that I've been looking forward to, and it's the only movie I've been looking forward to. But I have seen the negative response to it. But as I always say, look, I'm not gonna let that influence me in any way. I'm going to watch the movie for myself and see what happens. Okay, no problem. I don't know what's happened, Queen Charlotte. I was hoping she'd be on tonight, but we'll be finishing up pretty soon because obviously we have Christian for an hour. So we're going to wrap up shortly. Yeah, Miley, the old charm. I know, yeah. I mean, it wasn't really his fault. It wasn't really his fault, man. I mean, come on, your woman was flirting with him. And Biddy was being a bit of a biddy to him. So, I mean, I remember that actually was the talk in Ireland. Miley having the affair. Do you remember they even had chat shows complaining about, what Miley wouldn't have an affair on Biddy and all of this. JWC review says exactly what I've been saying now because it is the only way to do it, folks. In the early days, we all got blinded by people and by what they were saying. And some people would have got blinded by me as well and the things that I was saying. But I'll always say this, the only way you could judge Atom truly is by watching it yourself. And that's where you go. For me, with the Indiana Jones thing, it's just a simple fact of the matter is, as far as I'm concerned, there's only 3 movies anyway. I don't even class the Crystal Skull. So that's why, I'm not watching the other one. I don't want to. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade for me was the perfect end to that franchise. So that's where it ended, and that's the reason why I'm not watching it. And it's by Disney as well and Kathleen Kennedy, and I just don't want to support them. But you can't judge anything until you see. You're absolutely right, and I will give Blue Beetle a go, even though it's getting a bit of stick because apparently of the politics in it. But you know, nowadays people blow a lot of things out of proportion, and it could be a joke here and there, and people lose their shit over a joke. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like I seen a trailer put up, and someone took one part of it out of context and threw, "Oh, they're going to the." Watch the whole movie first before you judge. If it's full of politics, it'll be obvious, folks, won't it? And then you'll say, "Okay, everybody, right." But you should never judge a trailer out of context.
Well,
it's not always true. I mean, you know, I've seen some awful trailers over the years, and I mean awful. And then I've went in to watch the movie, and the movie has ended up being absolutely brilliant. It's just the trailer was awful. So,
well,
yeah.
JWC, you make a really good point. You can't judge anything until you see it, and that is an absolutely good point. However, I think it also is the onus is on the artist, the production team, the company to bring me into that. You really need to convince me that I can't watch every single movie, stream every single show. Only got a limited time on the planet, and I got to work and stuff. So you have to convince me why I have to watch your show and why it's so important. And the way that things have been going on at DC, I'm just like, so what's the timeline now? Because supposedly you've gotten rid of all the people who were in the Justice League. Now they're slowly coming back. And Mother Nature Show says you can't judge a book by its cover, they say, but that's what brings me in. That's why people spend so much money on the cover and the artwork, because that is the first thing, that is their first introduction to your product. And if it's not eye appealing and it's not eye catching, they're not going to come in. If it looks disgusting, or if it already has a bad reputation, it's not going to drive me in. So,
well, we know what movie is going to flop and does have a bad reputation before it's even released, and that's Snow Latina and the 6 diversity horrors. Like, I mean, that movie. I mean, Rachel, it just needs to shut up now. Who is her PR team? Who are the people around her? Where are the Disney executives? Like, I mean, these are literally tanking the company, right? All these are Star Wars stuff has gone to crap, right? All these are movies that you are releasing. Even if you are releasing half decent movies now, they're still flopping because people have had enough. And then you have this lunatic going around every opportunity that she can, telling everybody that she hates Snow White. I mean, Jesus Christ. Christian, I want to ask you, because you did put up a response to Rachel Ziegler, didn't you? Well, I mean,
not me, but
where are Disney? Where is Disney finding these people? I mean, why isn't there someone at Disney or her PR team saying, "Are you crazy? You're tanking this movie. What are you doing?"
I don't know what spawned it on. And supposedly these were things that were done a year ago. Am I correct? These weren't just recent. These were interviews that they finally resurfaced. And like I said, I mean, I made my case. It's just like when you start pooping on what came before, remember, there's an IP and a love for the IP that people got used to. So it should have been, even if it wasn't even candid from Rachel, it should have been something to the fact that, yes, we are taking a movie that started this company. This movie was the reason why you have a Walt Disney, anything, Walt Disney World, Walt Disneyland. Any of this was from the origins of this first animated feature. I think it won an Academy Award too. I think this was one of Walt's very first, but this one was the starter. And if it wasn't for this movie, Rachel, you wouldn't even be here. And it's something that you need to appreciate, that you don't, and even if it's not candid, at least go out there and say, yeah, we're taking a movie 1939, and it started the whole Disney company. But we are going to make it we're gonna bring it up to where a new generation can appreciate that, while we respect the old generation for the movies that started it, and we honor the people who made this movie to make this company the way it is now. And that should have been at least something that was translated, but she just went out there and just pooped on it. At least if that wasn't the interpretation, that was the result.
No. It was. It's clear what her agenda
right, but
is here.
like I said,
it's not.
Put out that video,
she's like Brie. She's like Brie Larson, though, in that aspect. And I'll give it to these women, like Brie Larson and herself, is they're not afraid to say what they want to say, and they won't back down. Like Brie Larson, still to this day, hasn't backed down. She never will back down. Rachel's not going to back down either. But if I was running a multi-billion-dollar company into the ground, right, as in Bob Iger, and I saw the lead actress of the very first Disney movie, or one of the very first Disney movies made, right, going out slating that movie because we're remaking it now. We made a point by diversity hiring and not actually casting people that should be cast in the movie, right? So they've done everything wrong anyway in the first place. And then you have her mounting off. Listen, the movie is going to tank. It's going to be another flop for Disney, right? And they've already got another couple of flops on their hands anyway. The Star Wars shows are tanking on Disney Plus. They've even got extreme lengths now of having to remove some of the shows in cost-cutting measures. Bob Iger is rumored to be selling off some of the company because he needs to raise capital. And you know what? He never needed to do any of this. Bobby, you never needed to do any of this. You know what you needed to do? You needed to sack your diversity manager. These people that bring in, these people. You need to sack them, and you need to go back to basics. And what I mean by going back to basics, you need to take a lesson off Walt Disney and go back and see the way he did things, and you need to do exactly what he did. And it just goes to show that you gobshites, since Walt Disney has died, any gobshite that's came after hasn't had a clue on what Disney should be, right? Disney did have its problems under Walt. Nobody will disagree with that. But the one thing that Walt Disney did care about was his craft, and he cared about the product that he put out, right? He's not throwing out shit. You didn't even need to sell off your company. All you needed to do was stop all of this nonsense, right? And hire the right fucking people. And by the way, 6 dwarfs now are small people, wherever they call themselves, are out of a job because you decided to diversity hire the 7 dwarfs, right? And nowhere in the books, by the way, is one of the dwarfs black either, you fucking idiots. This is why you are tanking, because you can't stick to the source material. And I don't care if people are outraged out there. But we need diversity. Well, then I tell you what, go out and find stories that have black leads, Latina leads, right? We're a whole fucking world, right? Whole world full of different cultures, different fucking heritage, different backgrounds. And you mean to tell me that Disney cannot find appropriate stories to show us as well, show the whole audience, introduce us to new stories? But no, these are games. So let's give them hand-me-downs. Let's give them hand-me-downs because we're lazy. And then you just wonder why they flop. They're going to continue to flop. Change your game, or Disney is gone. I never thought I could actually say that. Got to run. Yeah, Charlotte, I don't think there's going to be coming on. So we only do an hour on these streams anyway. So she must be a late tea, but she will be here tomorrow, folks. But this has been a great conversation today anyway. So let's see. We'll just read a few more of your comments before Christian has to head off, and I'll be heading off.
I'm still here. I'm just turning off my cam for a minute, but I'm still here. I'm still listening.
So let's see. Dungeons and Dragons, as Holden said there, was great. But they say spending time in the company of 2 Lady Boys is the winning the lottery 6 matching balls.
He said balls.
I think people just want to be part of the conversation and they adopt the opinion of YouTubers, etc. And it's just dishonest and unfair to the movie or TV show. Yeah, so it's tea. Charlotte's still having her tea. So she'll be here tomorrow anyway. And, you know, bear with us because we're going to be having a chat after the stream to organise something else. But I'm not going to say anything until I know for definite. So stay tuned for an announcement at some point. Holton says, really funny and good action. Anyway, as I said, these type of conversations are very good. Off to walk the dog, says Leland. Stay safe. You know, coppers seem to be very trigger happy with their dogs nowadays. You know, any of them came in near my dog, they know what happened to them. You don't touch my baby.
We lost you for a minute there, my friend.
Rachel Ziegler took an axe and gave her movie 40 whacks. Actually, someone did ask an interesting question. I think it was actually Christian. How many successful movies has Rachel Ziegler been in? Because I think every single movie that woman has been in has flopped hard.
I did.
So she hasn't had a. Yeah, that was you, wasn't it? So she hasn't had a successful movie.
You probably don't want to be in a position to tick people off. You know, you
must have. That's what I'm saying, Christian. She must have an MO. She must be known for that because all the movies that she's been in have flopped. Not one has actually done well. So someone at Disney thought she was a good fit for Snow White. I mean, I don't get it. But look, they want to run themselves into the ground. Let them. You know, we've been trying. See, this is the thing that Disney and all these other studios don't understand. We've been trying to save yous for these last 5, 6.5 years, whatever it is. It's longer for some other people. It's nearly 6 years for me now. 5 years, 6 years for me now. But we've been trying to save yous. We've been trying to save this industry. And by the way, I'm not saying I've been trying. I mean, we all have by giving our opinions and telling you what's wrong. But you have refused. You've refused to listen. So you deserve to thank. Actually, no, Charlie, you can wait till tomorrow, love, because we're going to actually finish up now. Christian needs to fly off now in just a second. And I'm going to finish up. We do an hour on Tuesday. But you will be with us tomorrow with PD Rich. Hopefully, and then of course we'll have that behind the scenes, and then we'll organize something else as well. So yeah, you finished eating. I mean, if you want to come on for a couple of minutes, you can come on for a couple of minutes. I just feel bad that, you know, if I bring you on, we're literally just going to be wrapping up, so there'll be probably no point to come on now. Unless you want to come on, we'll have a chat for a half an hour or something after. I'll tell you what, yeah, come on then. Me and you will have a chat. We'll have a chat for a half an hour. Right? I'll make this an hour and a half. And me and Charlotte will have a chat for the last half hour because Christian is going to fly off now, so he's going to do his channel shout outs and all that because he has to get back to, you know, hard work.
If you want to call it that. Charlotte, I will stick around for a couple of minutes, but I'll be in this position.
I'm still
have the camera on. Yeah, Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, folks. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, of course, the Knoll Zone, aka the TARDIS Zone. Please, you know, independent creators, give us a like and a shout out. Dan Hadley of the Space Book. Congratulations, Dan, on having the first year of Doctor Who Podcast Day and many more. Thank you for hosting that. And also on our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Traveling TARDIS, youtube.com/The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Yeah, support Noel and I. Even just, you know, giving a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe always helps because that keeps us knowing that you guys support us out there and that you love what we do and will continue to do it every Tuesday here. And I'll wait for Charlotte for just a little bit, but I got to keep the camera off there. That's all.
But
okay, Jose.
I will stay. I might go mute or something, but I just want to let you know I'll stick around for a few, see what happens here.
We'll see if she comes out. My first time listening to Christian Guy. Really good guest. Well, he's been here every Tuesday for the past, I don't know how long we've been doing this now. I think it's nearly, 2-3 months now. No, it's a bit longer than that. I think it's about 3 months. Is it? See,
yeah, I would argue like at least, I think we're almost like 4 or 5 months. And I know there were a couple times we had to skip, and I did.
Yeah, actually, you could be right. Hold on, I'll go in now and check because I'll be.
Yeah, because we did a live feed from MegaCon, and I know that was at least.
That's right. Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, that was MegaCon, and he was already on the channel about a month before that. So yeah, he's right. Actually, it's that long. Wow, that flew in.
Time flies.
Time flies when you're having fun. Anyway, Queen Charlie, if you can hear us, yeah, come on.
By the way.
We're waiting on you. Anybody else in the chat got a question you want to ask any of us? Go ahead. That's what we're here for. Here she is. It's the one and only. Great Charlotte.
Hello, I'm so sorry, everybody.
Oh, now you show up.
Oh, maybe we got technical difficulties.
No. I'm waiting. Christian was about to say his goodbyes or whatever, I guess.
I did. I said I will stick for a few minutes. I just won't have the camera on. That's all. And I might go mute from time to time, but that's it. I'll try to stick around as long as I can.
So what have we been chatting about?
We've just been having a random conversation, but we've been talking about TV shows and we were talking about obviously the new diversity hire Snow White, which every time I say that Cheryl's eyeballs roll, and that's why I do say it, because she's in there now rolling her eyeballs, so I love winding her up. Yeah, so the new diversity hire Snow White has been bitching and moaning again, because she's nothing better to do. We were talking about Knight Rider, we were talking about all TV shows as well. Actually, I'll ask you this question. JWC has asked earlier on. What TV show or whatever it was when you grew up as a kid that you didn't like but you appreciate now as an adult?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, it was a good question. What about you?
Any Nova special on PBS, which is like David Attenborough. Any of that stuff that I thought was boring is all the fascinating for me.
So all the stuff you found boring as a kid.
All those documentaries that I couldn't have been
forced to watch. Right.
Now I'm like, you hear me in there all night. Listening to like stuff I don't even know about, but I'm like, this is fascinating. I learned all about the Mariana Trench animals last night.
Nice.
I think for me,
yeah,
purely for comedy value, is if I watched like old Gladiators, because now as an adult it looks even more ridiculous when they're doing half of the stuff they got them doing in that show. Like when they're on the two podiums and they're just whacking each other with the inflatable stick things.
You have to ask the panelists, Holden. As I said, I know you put a laughy emoji after it. Obviously, I won't talk about it, but if the panelists there want to talk about the show, I don't talk about if there is any news. Well, there is. I've seen that there is news, but I just refuse to talk about it. But if they want to talk about it, they're more than welcome to do so. So is there for Holden there, if one of you want to answer that, just get it done and over with. Is there anything happening in that world of the show that I don't watch anymore?
I'd say they're more rumors than news.
Yeah, I was going to say there's no proper news come out.
The only thing I can think, unless Charlotte, you know something that I don't, I just hear a lot of rumors. I know Theories has been popping out things. Dr. Freedom has been popping out things, which I think is weird because he mentions, he's got his sources, and it just like, I think it's gotten to the point where if I don't hear it from Russell T or
Bad Wolf or the BBC, I'm just kind of okay, whatever you say, kind of that moment.
Well, the problem is they've almost created now, I feel like, this
A
vacuum because we're getting nothing official. We're getting no proper promotional material. And I mean, like, anything trailer-wise, like even just some like nice casting shots or anything. So because it's so much of like this vacuum, it's making the rumor stuff become really prevalent again.
And you're absolutely right about that. And the problem is with the rumor mill, say it long enough, you think it's fact, and then all of a sudden we'll find out in November it wasn't at all. And that that's some people just, and I'm not dissing on that, but some people do live off the rumor mill, and more whatever power to them. But I don't like doing that because then what's the point if we're not going to be factual? If people want to come to us, they want to know the facts about the show. We do kind of hint in the rumor mill, but it's because it was somehow addressed along the way. However, having said that, it is kind of the fault of Bad Wolf just being quiet. You're right. They need to start putting some stuff out there. We don't even know the dates in November. What is it, August now? September, October, November? 3 months away. We don't even have the dates.
I've been saying, Christian, for ages
the TV
now.
schedule comes out, but the TV schedule comes out at I think it's the end of September, the start of October. I think when the new schedule comes out, or it could be earlier, but maybe that's why we don't have any times. JWC.
I've been saying for ages, and I don't know how you feel, Christian. I don't understand. I understand they can't give the whole story away. Of course they can't, and they have to keep some of their big secret, like the big sort of wow moments, secret. But I think we need to have some sort of hint now towards what are these stories? What's the main body a little bit? What's the outline?
You're right. And they should have had an outline to say, okay, in August, we're going to release these 2 tidbits. In September, we're going to release these 3 things. And then November, when we get closer. But the dates, and I understand the 50th anniversary was going to happen on the date of the doc, but even everybody kind of knew. And Night of the Doctor was a nice little surprise. That kept people talking because we had Paul McGann back as the Doctor. But you're right. One of the criticisms is that as Whovians, we didn't have anything that appealed to us to go, okay, let's keep going. All we had was it Doomsday? And then, there's more stuff coming out on Doomsday than there is on the actual 60th anniversary. Big Finish is tossing audios out left and right. I'm just like, don't you think that this would be? But I'm not in charge, so
it sort of feels to me almost like now the actual free specials are like the lesser thing that's getting shown and talked about than everything else.
That's a very good interpretation. Yeah, it does feel like it's, we're really pushing more for Shooty than we are for these.
God, yeah. I feel like we know so much more about Shooty's run already.
Right.
And I don't understand the logic. I understand, like I said, you want to keep some stuff for your sort of your big surprise, for your wow, for your, God, you've done this, but you need to give the fandom something. And I think Russell's really starting to skirt the line now of he's almost thinking, oh, it's a 60th, you'll watch it anyway, sort of mentality and feelings coming out of Bad Wolf.
Well, he obviously doesn't know the fucking fandom. Well, he obviously doesn't know me because
I think we'll watch it, but it's just like like you said, Charlotte, I'm more excited for the Big Finish 60th anniversary or Shooty than the actual 60th. I don't know what he's hiding. I don't know how much more you can hide out there, but it's just being stagnant now.
He's come out and said, I don't know if Russell said this or somebody to do Bad Wolf, all the trailers we've had are all from the first special, all the footage. So we've got 2 other specials that we've not seen any clips whatsoever from. And I just think that's really daft.
JWC
You're
review
right.
says you need to give up your Doctor Who boycott and all. You could do more good working from the inside rather than from on the sidelines. What's that? Contentious objectors never won a war. I get what you're saying, and you're not the only person that said that to me. But for me, is I don't have the energy, the time, or the energy to be wasting on a show that doesn't respect me as a viewer. I gave Jodie Whittaker's era enough time to convince me that I was wanted as a fan. I'm clearly not wanted as a fan. And look, the one thing I will say is I have seen the recent casting announcements. If you cannot see that RTD clearly has an agenda, well then, you know, that's just where I am. I don't have the energy. I don't want to be bashing Doctor Who anymore. So I'd rather walk away than continue to bash it. There's plenty of people in the fandom that will continue to do that, and you know, the way I look at it is I've earned the right to make this decision, because for 5.5 years I put my neck out there on the front line. I got death threats. My wife got abused. My friends got abused. I got it all in the neck, and all in all of that time, right? In all that time, obviously, I got the support of you guys, but people that I thought that were going to support me and have me back never did. You know, there's a lot of people that talk the talk out there on YouTube land, but when it comes to the crunch, you don't give a shit about the little guy. So, and I am a little guy. So, you know, I put my neck out there for 5.5, and I'm not willing to do it again. If we didn't make a difference then, and yes, we made some differences. I'm not going to say it was all for nothing, because it wasn't. We did make some differences, but if you think we're going to make a difference this time round, well then, I'm sorry, but I've got to break it to you. We're not going to make a difference. RTD will do what RTD is doing, and the recent castings shows you that he doesn't want to be hiring straight people or people that are biologically born anymore. They seem to be few and far between, right? You look at all the casting that's done. How many biologically born people are actually in the show now, right? He's got drag queens, he's got trans people, he's got fucking everything going on in there, right? So I'm sorry, I'm done. I don't believe in drags should be, you know, entertaining their children, right? And even on that alone, it's a moral objection. So yeah, while you're right, I probably am better off inside giving out about all of these things. But I've said all of these things for the last 5.5 years, and I'll just be repeating myself again, but it'll be just under a new showrunner. And I don't want to do that. Other channels out there will do that, and you know, they will do very well out of it. You know, their channels will probably grow. But for me, it's never been about that. You know, and I got, whether you believe it or not, I got it a lot more than most people in the Doctor Who fandom. And I did, right? It was actually even said a couple of weeks ago. I mean, the amount of abuse and all you got is more than some of the big streamers get, right? I got it from all sides. Okay, so I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to wake up every morning to go into me inbox and see that I've been threatened, or my wife has been shamed, or me dog, they're threatening me dog, right? And threatening me friends and stuff like this, right? So I've done it once before, and I don't want to be waking up every fucking day miserable because someone is after me, right? Or someone wants me to die, right? Because you know what that does to me, right? I start then becoming a former shell of myself, right? And then I start getting angry, right? And I start getting fucking flustered. And that's when I start making mistakes like I did the last 5 years. I made some mistakes along the way. I reacted to stuff that I shouldn't have reacted to if I had kept my mouth shut. I should have listened to Gobby Guy and others back then, and I didn't because I was stubborn, right? But I learned the hard way, and I'm just not prepared to stick my neck out there anymore because I know if I do, right, I know you guys in the chat and everybody here that's on the panel now will back me up and support me, right? But we need more than that when we're fighting this. And the big YouTubers will only use Doctor Who to talk about to get more views on their channel. They don't give a fuck about Doctor Who, right? They don't give a fuck about the fight. They're more interested in grifting and making money, okay? So if I truly believed that we had the backing of the bigger YouTubers out there and they were willing to fight this and boycott this and call out all the stuff that's going on, I would stick me neck out there again. But I've learned over the last 5.5, 6 years that they're not willing to do that. And when I was being abused and my wife was being abused, not one of them stood up for me. But when Az and others were attacked in the fandom or girls were attacked that they knew, they all jumped to their defense and defended them. Not one of those pricks fucking defended me over the last 5 fucking years of the abuse I was getting. So, no, I'm not sticking my neck out anymore. I've done me bit. I've done me bit. My wife has suffered the consequences of it. My mental health suffered the consequences of it. Charlotte suffered the consequences of it. Daniel suffered the consequences on it. Anybody that knew me suffered some sort of fucking consequence because they knew me, right? And because they stuck with me, right? Because they know who I truly am. And they know I'm not that person and that monster that people make me out to be. And I'm not prepared to go through that again. No, I've done me bit, right? Fuck BBC, fuck Doctor Who, right? And I really mean this. If people are going to watch the 60th and you have to look at yourselves, really you do, right? An organisation that covers up for disgusting, vile people, presenters sending photographs to people, and I don't care if the person was legal age, right? The man is married with fucking kids. Where's people's morality anyway? No morals, no. Is it okay for him to cheat on his wife with some half-assed junkie? Is it? Right? And then you hear what Jinx Monsoon said about parents, right? Writes an open letter, signs that open letter, saying that they know better than fucking parents that bring up their own fucking kids. Then you got Shooty coming out with his fucking nonsense, and then you have Yasmin Finney come, and these are all still going to support Doctor Who. Even after all of that. This is what's wrong with this fandom. And this is why I'm not sticking my neck out there again, right? Because this is why I chose to do it this way. Because why should I stick my neck out when I know that people are going to go behind their backs anyway and watch the fucking program, right? And give BBC the view or give Disney Plus the view. What's the fucking point? I'm wasting me fucking time. Right? And I wish I had a fucking realised that 6 years of fucking go. Because I wouldn't have wasted me fucking time. Right? What was the fucking point? It got me nowhere. Right? I lost good friends along the fucking way. People stabbed me in the fucking back as well. Right? I've lost a lot. Right? And I'm not asking you to feel fucking sorry for me because you know I don't play that fucking game. Right? But I think you all need to know exactly what's going on and understand why I don't want to do this, right? They threatened my wife. They threatened my dog. They threatened fucking me. They sent me pictures of beheadings. They rape-shamed me wife. They said they were going to murder me dog. They wished me dead. So I hoped I died in a car crash or I got COVID and died, right? And this is not a go at anybody. I'm glad JWC Reviews brought that up because I could finally get it off my chest now. And thank you for that, JWC Reviews. I'm glad you brought it up, and I'm not having a go because you brought it up, but I think people need to understand how much this took out of me. It took everything out of me, right? It nearly destroyed me, right? I had people behind the scenes like Charlotte, Daniel, fucking Chris, Lee, trying to calm me down some fucking nights. I was that bad. Right? People coming after me like, how do you think that feels? Right? I can't do anything about it because it happens online. On defenses, I can't defend my own fucking wife. over a
So-
TV show. That's the
Yeah.
point. This is why it's not worth it. It's a fucking TV show. And these lunatics did that to me. And then you had Tom Vance with over 2,000 people come after me. All because I said Jodie Whittaker was a shit doctor. Get out. No, it's not. No, don't say sorry, man. Please don't. I'm glad you actually brought this up because I think people need to understand where I am actually coming from. Right? They have made me hate Doctor Who. I don't love Doctor Who anymore. Even the name makes me fucking sick looking at it. That's why I changed the name. I haven't even done a proper rebrand. I put an Irish fucking flag up because I'd rather have fucking something up than have that fucking name in me channel's name. I'm done. And I'm being honest. I don't think anybody should be supporting this fucking show because it's going to get worse, right? They're telling you how to raise your fucking kids. They're fucking indoctrinating your fucking kids. And then you have a TV show that you go to watch to escape, right? For escapism because the world and life is hard as it is. And no, you go and you put on Doctor Who and they're telling you that you're a cunt. They're telling you you're tick because of climate change, and then they're trying to tell you that fucking people can change gender and all this bollock. Fuck off. The amount of crap I've had to take, and you know what? I should have took a nervous break. I had that. Remember that one time I actually broke down, and that was my nervous breakdown. I broke down, right? That was the tipping point for me. They got me that far. They pushed me over the edge, and I'm not willing to go through that. Now, listen, I'm much stronger now and I could probably hack it. And there is a shit show coming my way as soon as Elon Musk actually gets rid of the block feature, because people that I've blocked obviously will be unblocked. But the flip side of that is I actually look forward to when I can actually fucking comment on Mr. Tardis's posts and Teresa's posts and all these other gobshites that blocked me. Because you know what? I will fucking have me say. But she's been shit talking me. No, I'm not putting up with her anymore. I've been stabbed in the back as well by people that are so-called fucking friends. Right? I know who my true friends are. They're right fucking here. Right? And obviously Lee and fucking Craig. I know who my true fucking friends are. I know the ones who have had my back. Even Daniel sticks his fucking neck out there for me. Even Daniel. He doesn't need to, but he fucking does. Right? Because he knows who I am. And I even tell him, Daniel, you don't need to defend me, mate. I could do it myself. But he just feels empowered to do so because he won't have anybody talk shit about me. Right? I'm not this person that they made me out to be, but I'm not willing to go through that again. John, everybody else in the chat, it's just not worth it. It's a TV fucking show, for God's sake. It's not worth me mental health being destroyed. And remember, all of our mental healths have taken a knocking since the pandemic. I don't need this, right? Look, as I said, I personally would advise you all not to watch, but at the end of the day, I can't tell you what to do, right? I can't tell you what to do, but, you know, think about everything that's happened to you all. Do you really want to go through all that again? Because remember, as soon as those channels start, if Doctor Who ends up being bad and it goes the way that most of it thinks it's going to go, as soon as you all start piping up and start criticising the show, if you thought the Chris Chibnall era was bad with the amount of abuse that you are getting, well then add the RTD fans onto that who support this man no matter what. And then those fans on top of that, because they will support what RTD is doing, it's going to be worse. It's going to be worse, folks. This is a shit show. Wait, I predicted this anyway. Charlotte was on the stream when I said, this is going to get worse.
Yeah, you did.
It's going to get worse. So, I'm sorry, I'm out for now. But you know what upsets me? I'm not turning on my camera because I'm actually upset. You know what upsets me? Is I've grown up and watched that show for over 40 fucking years, and these cunts have made me hate it. Right? They made me hate something that actually fucking saved my life. This show saved my life, man. I told you the story. Right? This has not been an easy decision. I've tanked my channel just to do this boycott, and I am going through with it, and I don't care if people think I'm foolish and people think it's ridiculous, right? I am going to do it my way, and I'm going to stick with it because it's what I believe. And again, I would say, you know, I would love everybody to get behind me and stick with me on this one. But I know people will watch because, you know, it's the 60th anniversary, and it is going to get people all nostalgic, and RTD will win in the end. Of course, he'll win in the end. But someone has to take a stand, and yeah, if I tank the channel and I disappear, and the Noel Zone's no more, Tarda Zone, whatever you want to call it, is no more, well, so be it. It was a good run. I've enjoyed it. I've made some lovely friends, and I'll never forget my journey on here. But I cannot bring myself to watch that show or support that show when it's under the current ownership. I really can't. Because if you do support it, then you're supporting what they believe in, whether you think it or not. Once you give them the view, you're supporting them. It's as simple as that. And I've seen people go out and buy the new sonic screwdriver and all of this. And fair enough, you have every right to go out and buy whatever merch you want. But, you know, you are the same people that give out about the show, and then you go out and buy the merch. So, I mean, what's the point? And I'm sorry I went on this rant, but I'm just being honest, which is all. I cannot do it. I just haven't got it in me right now. Things may change if look, all I'll say to you is this though, right? Well, what will bring me back is the fact if you guys end up getting it in the neck, then I just know I won't be able to sit back and watch that happen. But other than that, I don't want to be talking. I'll have yous our backs just the way yous have my back. And I'll still defend yous, even if you're talking about and someone comes out, yous know I'll be there for yous. I just don't want to give this show any airtime on here for now. I just hope everybody understands where I'm coming from. And I didn't even mean to get upset, right? And I didn't even mean, I didn't want this to happen. But I don't think people actually really understand what this has done for me, what this has done to me. And it hasn't been nice. And me and Cheryl's marriage was kind of on the rocks, right? We were never going to split up. But I was getting very agitated. And she desperately knew what was going on with me, right? She knew the shit I was taking. She desperately wanted to help, and I pushed her away, okay? Right, and our marriage is rock solid now, and we're the happiest we've ever been. And I just don't want to get back to a place where I'm taking out on people that I shouldn't be taking out on because I'm being attacked because I have an opinion about a fucking TV show. A TV fucking show. Like, that's all it is at the end of the day. A fucking TV show. And I'm back on fucking camera because who gives a fuck? A TV show, but.
And there's plenty of other stuff, like somebody said before in the chat. There's plenty of older stuff and new stuff we do want to talk about that we can talk about.
That's what I mean, and I do. And that's why we've been doing these streams and we've been talking about other stuff. Because I just can't bring myself to talk about. I see the rumors. I still read all the shit. You think I don't read shit behind the scenes? Of course I do. Of course I do. Doctor Who's me passion for 4 decades, like. It's not easy just to walk away from something you love. You all know that. That's the hardest thing to do. But I've had to do it for me. I put my neck out there, right? And even when I was on my own sometimes, I did it. And I knew what was it. And people expected that from me as well. And that was the thing. And look, I never let the expectation get the better of me. I knew some people wanted me to keep fighting on their behalf because they were scared to speak up, and I did. But I've done all I can do. They still haven't changed, and they won't change. Now, if you guys all come back to me and tell me that Doctor Who, no, even though he's done all of this, Doctor Who is a great show and it's well written and there's no politics or it's not over the top, I'll listen to you guys faster than I listen to anybody else out there. then I'd probably get curious and have a look myself, right? But that's the only way. You guys would be the only ones that could convince me that this show is decent. But I just don't see it happen. So, look, I'm going to shut up now because we brought Queen Charlotte on and she hasn't even got to speak. So we're going to stay until as long as we can all stay. And I'm going to let Queen Charlotte speak. But we got the master TDS actually, the master of the TDS actually in the chat, which is great to see. And if you haven't supported himself and his missus, they've got their own channel. You could put the channel in the link description there, Master. I keep getting his name wrong.
Master of TDS.
Master of the TDS, yeah. Put your channel in there, mate, and get everybody to subscribe to you. They're a nice community here, and I'm pretty sure they'll like use our videos. They do them as a husband and wife team. Very good YouTube channels. You will really like it. So
and hello, TARDIS Spider.
Oh, TARDIS Spider back in the chat. That's great to see. Let me see. I've missed some comments. So you need to give up Doctor Who. Yeah, we done that one. And that's what started off the rant. But John, you do make a point though. Okay. It would be better if I was in there and obviously doing me bit. But as I said, I just can't. I just can't. If I look, this is the only reason, the only way you get me back is if I see that the people that I believe that won't truly do a boycott and do what's needed to do, right? If they all do what should be done, then I'll come back and support them because then they're doing it, right? But we've seen it before. We tried boycotts in this fandom, right? And even I went back on them, right? We all went back on them. So I can't go, I'm not going back on this one. I've got to stick to the guns at some point anyway, right? And as I said, with all the other shit that I've spoke about, it's not really worth getting me mental health battered because, people don't like me opinion over a TV show. Listen, I think Chris Chibnall made it very clear that we were not wanted anymore. I was hoping that RTD wouldn't go down this same route. I could be wrong, we'll see. But as far as I could see, he doesn't want us, right? And he did. Remember, Pierce did say it was Doctor Who for a new generation, right? They actually said that it was for a new generation. And that wasn't, that's exactly what it is. Doctor Who is not for us old fogies anymore. It's for a new generation. They've made it clear. They told us it's for a new generation. So I get the message now. It took me 5.5 years to get the message, BBC. But I get it now. Doctor Who's not for me anymore. So I'm gone. So there you go. Anyway.
Yeah, but I'll just quickly say to change the topic then. The whole thing with this Snow White actress. I can't believe nobody beforehand told her maybe don't be that offensive and that sort of vitriolic towards the original movie, because she doesn't have to love that original movie. That's not nobody would expect her to have to love it, but in loads of interviews to demean it and to attack so many aspects of it, from the Prince character to the idea of romance to this idea of, she has to be a leader, all the stuff she's come out with. It's just no, if you've got those opinions, you keep them quiet. And you say the nice PR things, and she's obviously just said completely her own view. And it's just because that's
I agree with you. How someone hasn't pulled her aside and said, listen, Rachel, right, we get it. Right, you don't like the original movie, but shut your fucking mouth. Okay? Just, talk about your movie and that's it. Just talk about the movie, but don't add, oh, but Snow White is not going to rely on a bloke, and the seven dwarfs are actually like evil and try to kidnap the prince or some match wherever crap she comes out with. You know what I mean? We all understand, Charlotte, that our old IPs, if they're going to remake them, we're going to allow for some, creative license, to put their own, to make it unique, to make it stand out from the original. We don't mind that, but when they blatantly change everything, Charlotte, that makes the movie, then...
Well, no, it's also changing those core tenets, which is the issue here. It sounds like, obviously, we've never seen this movie. We've not seen it yet. It could not be as bad as she's making it out to be. You don't know.
Yeah.
But I find it funny that finally I'm seeing actually a lot of females come out against her with this romance stuff she's talking about, and to basically tell her, no, if you don't want romance, that's fine. Some of us actually like the idea of romance and true love.
That's the whole point. But is that not the whole point of a fairy tale, the happy ever after? I know she probably doesn't believe in the happy ever after, and a lot of these...
Traditionally, that's the point of fairy tales.
Yeah.
But
it's like... Go on, Charlotte.
But I'm just saying, I find it finally, I've seen actually females online come out and say, your idea of femininity isn't the thing that all of us have to prescribe to, basically. If we want to be romantic, if we want a prince to come and save us, that's what we want. Don't have a go at us for wanting that.
What does Master say?
I gotta run.
All right, but no, listen.
Sorry, Christian,
thanks for
being
coming
late.
on.
No, that's fine. But I wanted to take my input. First of all, a couple of things on this, and I'm actually going back to what you said, and I will say this: I've never met anybody who's insulted or criticized their way into changing my mind. And that's if somebody has that superpower, please let me know, because I think it's an awesome superpower. Nobody has done that. Having said that, if she the onus is not on me as a fan to like your product. You as a product, as a corporation, the onus is on you to convince me why I need to watch this. So, okay, let's say when we split 50-50, half the male population, half of the female. What are all the boys wanting to watch this movie for? What was your sales pitch, Rachel? What about boys who are growing up of any ethnicity, of any race, of any color, of anything? Why would little boys want to watch this? You've already told the prince off. He's gone. And it's all leadership about a woman. Okay. So what do the little boys want to watch this for? Where are you going to get your millions from this? It's what it should have been was she should have been broadcasting this as a homage to the original, which started the company. This was the first animated movie. Without it, there would be no Disney World and there would be no Rachel Zegler. At least show some appreciation, even if it's not candid. Show some appreciation of what came before, and then sales pitch it to people going, but now that we're going to be doing in 2023, we're taking on a new style that will bring it up to the next generation. And we really hope that you like what we've come up with, because it's going to empower little girls. It's going to be a story that is going to take a whole new adventure, and we want you to join and be part of what we're going to experience. Now, how is that not better than what she's been saying this whole time? Even little boys are just like, yeah, we're bringing it up to you so everybody like you can watch this and enjoy. And we're keeping with the Disney tradition. You have to bring people your way. There's no way that you can insult, berate, or shut people down. That's when they walk away and they take their pocketbooks with them. And that, if anything, needs to be... It's hard to spell hello and goodbye. Yeah, but that was my only take on that. And it's just, I don't know what's going on with Hollywood in general. I don't know why there's this mentality that we can... What was it? Gary put it best. It was like the upgrade to the iPod. You go, iPad. You go to the computer store. You buy your iPad. You take it home. It's a rock with the word iPad on it. You take it back to the computer store and going like,
This is not an iPad. This is a rock with the words iPad on it. And the guy convinces you it's an iPad. He goes, no, that's an iPad. And then you go, no, it's not. Take it back. And the guy picks up the iPad and throws it at your face. That's how we feel as a geekdom. We need to be addressed. If this is what you are heading for, bring us up to speed. Take us by the hand. Show us some courtesy. Show us that what we grew up with, which was, in every trailer, a timeless movie. For people who are calling out saying it's outdated, it's a timeless love story.
It actually is. I love the original Snow White. I mean, I'm a grown man. I can admit it. It's one of my favorite Disney movies. It's a great story. It's actually very dark as well. Like, especially even watching it back as a kid, I remember how dark it was. It's a great story, and it has a happy ending. And I mean, I just. The master of the TDS actually makes a great point. She could have just said, we're going to do something different with this version of Snow White. You guys have to tune in to see what we have in store for you. Like, just a simple thing like that. Then people are intrigued. I wonder what they're going to do different with it. Get people interested. But she's come out like a wrecking ball. You know, they should just play the Miley Cyrus song every time she comes out. Right? You know, when she comes out onto the stage, just play "It Came In Like a Wrecking Ball." Seriously, man, that should be her theme tune. Came in like a wrecking ball. All she just had to say was that, exactly that, and that would have got people intrigued. Yeah, you would have still had people say, "Oh, I wonder what they're," you know. But that's the whole point. Like, it wouldn't have been anything too negative. But she's just come out and she's just like. She's just come in like Storm Katrina, and she's just destroyed everything. Like, it's just, you know, Hurricane Katrina, I should say. I just came in and destroyed everything. Like, absolutely. I mean, but Disney keep making the same mistake. They keep hiring these people that keep doing the same. They hire these actors or actresses that just can't help themselves and just can't come out and just be neutral and just say, yeah, just check out our version. I know yous are all a bit, but look, we're going to do something different here, and I think yous may enjoy it.
Well, guys, I'm sorry. I really got to run. But everybody, tonight we're at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. We're going to be playing the Doctor Who Worlds Apart game. There's a beta test version that we got, and we're going to demonstrate to you all tonight. So please join us at 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UK if you're up that late. Sorry, Charlotte. I know you're not. But it was awesome. I hope I catch you next Tuesday. We'll definitely have some fun together, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we did. This was a good stream. Obviously, we will see you soon. But we're not finished yet, folks. But Christian, listen, seriously, thanks for coming in. Really do appreciate you coming on every Tuesday and doing these streams. But I think this has been the best one yet. Because, you know, we just kind of winged it. Today. Maybe that's what we should do.
Everything's
maybe we should just, because every time we do kind of try to do a topic, it kind of goes a bit off topic, whereas we just come on and we just do random chat, then we just naturally segue into something else. So listen, so I'll see you next Tuesday anyway, Christian, and good luck with the stream tonight. And again, go and check out the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, where they will be checking out that Doctor Who game. So if you're into watching Doctor Who, some of the Doctor Who games are shit, but some are actually not too bad.
I love this one. It's really a challenge. So, but guys, everybody, I'll see you tonight, and make sure you're subscribing to Null Zone and also the Spacebook. Guys, I'll see you. Have a great one. Take care.
Good night.
TARDIS says, I know it's not a fantasy or sci-fi yet. The only Irish show that I know I watch is Mrs. Brown's Boys. Well, actually, you should check out Father Ted, because even Irish people hate Mrs. Brown's Boys, and the Brits, unfortunately, because BBC just won't stop, because they don't do proper comedy anymore. They've commissioned more Mrs. Brown's Boys. So I feel sorry for you Brits. We get it here, but, you know, I don't have a Skybox anymore, so I don't have to force myself to watch it. But if you want to watch a great Irish sitcom in that style, but done better, TARDIS Spider, check out Father Ted. And I think everybody in the chat as soon as I mention Father Ted, will agree with me that Father Ted is the one you should actually watch. You will find that a lot funnier. But I feel like it's done on purposely. It's outrage marketing. They don't have the skills to promote something on merit alone. Do you know what? I said something, I think it was about, I think when all this stuff started kicking off, I said, she seems to be a deliberate ploy, or she's a plant. And it's like as if they want this movie to deliberately tank. Because how even Bob Iger or someone within Disney or some of the Disney execs haven't told her to tone down her rhetoric, because she is going overboard. Like, even if they agree with what she's saying, okay, they could tell her to tone down her rhetoric because she's damaging the movie. But there doesn't seem to be that happening. So I'm actually starting to believe that maybe this is a deliberate ploy by the industry. I know it sounds mad, right? But maybe they wanted to collapse because, with this writer strike as well, they're not budging on that. It's like as if they're trying to force all of these ideologues out of the industry. And this is the way that they've decided to go about it. Basically, destroy everything and rebuild it. And then those people are out.
So what's that like? What's the saying? Like salted ground. Where you just completely, like you said, torch everything so you can start over. I can't think of the saying.
There is there's a quote, isn't there? There's a famous
Scorched
saying.
earth,
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, that's the one. But that's what that's what I think they're doing. I honestly do. I think this is an opportunity for them now because all of these activists got a stranglehold in the industry, right? And they originally supported them, but they became more radical as the years went on, and they can't get out of the situation. So the only way to get out of it is to bring the whole thing down. You bring the whole thing down, you rebuild it, you start fresh, and you don't hire these fuckers anymore, and you build it all up from the ground up again. I know it sounds extreme, but I if you look at it, it looks like self-sabotage, and I just can't think of why they would be allowing this woman to continue to come out and say rubbish. And remember, this woman, and you know how I feel about Gina Carano. At the end of the day, I don't think any actor or actress should be political. Your job is to act. So you know where I am on that. Don't get me wrong. I think what Gina has went through has been absolutely a shambles, and her career should never have been taken from her. But I don't think, she was in the right or Pedro was in the right, because at the end of the day, I don't think any actor or actress should be getting political. Your job is to act. You've been paid to do a job, and that job is to actually, get into these characters and make us believe that you are these characters. So I don't think any actor or actress should be making, and even back in the day they were doing it. I don't agree with it. You're paid to act. Keep your activism out of acting, right? And if you want to do that on the side, that's fine, fair enough. They're incorporating it into their work, and I don't like that. So they should shut the fuck up and actually do the job that they're paid to do, which is act, right? If you want to be political, if you want to get political and you want to be fucking activists, then I suggest then you find a different career in that field and stop annoying us, because your job is to convince us that you're different characters and transport us into these make-believe worlds that you are in. And your job is to make us escape from our daily lives and put a fucking smile on their face, not make us miserable every time that she's opening our fucking mouths. And excuse the language, but I'm really pissed off with the way that they've handled this situation. So if Disney burns, it burns. I never thought it could happen, but it is happening, right? And
it's happening slowly. I think that's the thing. Yeah. It's taken 2 or 3 years, but now we're sort of seeing that 2 or 3 years, all the consequences.
Yeah, it's starting to tally up, Charlotte, isn't it? It's starting to all tally up now.
It's death by 1,000 cuts with Disney. There's been lots of little things, lots of separate studios having issues, lots of creators under Disney having issues, lots of politics. It's just been this absolute mess. But the problem is with Disney, you've got the politics issue, and then you've got the lack of actually creativity. You've sort of got those two things, which are the things that I think's utterly tearing the company apart right now. But the thing that there's a game I play. I started to play it last year, and it uses Disney characters. So they don't make it, but they have whoever makes the game license the characters, and it's sort of like this life sort of sim cozy game. And the whole premise really is you invite Disney characters into like your world in the game. So all the updates are like, oh, Simba's coming to the game, and that's how it's marketed. So I can see the excitement in the community for that game, because I like follow some of the YouTubers who cover it for these updates when it's a classic Disney character that's coming. And and all the stuff from those classic movies, the amount of excitement the fan base for this game gets when we're getting, because the next update is called Dreamlight Valley. The next update, it's Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and they look exactly like the game sort of when they come into your game, they look exactly like they did from those animated movies. They look nothing like these live action. They purposely copied exactly the animated versions. And it's Belle, and Belle's like one of the original Disney princesses, and she's adored. And the amount of excitement for this update that's coming out soon. So I can see the love that that the fans of Disney have for these original animated classic movies and these characters. And Disney should be able to see that if I can. And they just seem to want to completely destroy it. So
yeah. Actually, I want to read out JWC reviews his comment out. He says, if holding the wrong politics can lose you work, having the right politics gets you roles. It's all BS. And I do agree with you on that one. I mean, at the end of the day, if you were going to sack Gina Carano for having a political view, right, then why didn't Pedro Pascal also get sacked when he had a political view? And you are right, you make the point. It's because he's perceived to have the right kind of politics and she's perceived to have the wrong sort of politics. So I will agree with you there, absolutely 100%. And I said it at the time, but I'm not going to blow smoke up our ass either. At the end of the day, and I'll say this again, no actor or actress should be bringing their politics into the shit that we watch, right? And we don't want to hear it, right? As I said, if they want to be political and they want to be activists, then I suggest you give up your acting career. But they won't give up their acting career because the acting career brings them in a lot of money, makes them very rich indeed. So they want their cake and they want to eat it too, right? But they can't have both. It's as simple as that, right? They're either one thing or they're another. I'm sick of it, right? Marlon Brando did it back in the day, and other actors and actresses did it as well. I haven't never agreed with it, right? They're paid to actually, act, right? Now, I hate this shit where people say, well, I want to use my platform, because I've made it now. I'm going to use my platform for some good. No, you use your platform for exactly what you've been paid to do, and that's it. Okay? It's as simple as that. I'm done with these assholes, right? Don't want to hear your shit, right? There's enough crap going on in the world. We know what's going on in the world, and you are trying to tell us the opposite anyway. So we don't want to hear it, right? You're paid to act. You don't see Tom Cruise going around now, right? He used to talk about Scientology, fair enough, right? He doesn't talk about Scientology anymore. You'll see he never talks about it anymore. He only talks about his movies now, right? He's even showed up at cinemas to sit with people to watch the movies. Now, whether people think he's being disingenuous or it's not really genuine, right? He's just trying to promote the movie, get people into seats. It doesn't matter. He's making the fucking effort, isn't he? He's telling you that he's making these movies for you, for the cinema goers, right? And he does make pretty good fucking movies, let's be honest about it. They're entertaining, right? There's no politics in them, no nothing. They're just straight shooters. That's why I said it. You know, I slag off people that watch the Fast and the Furious franchise, right? Or the Sharknado franchise. You know, all those ridiculous franchises. But I get it. I get it. You know why they watch them? Because it's just like, there's no politics. It's just it
fun.
does exactly, and it does exactly what it says on the tin, and that's why that movie franchise has spanned 9 fucking movies. You know what I mean? 10 altogether. But that's why it's went on for as long. Same with Meg. Meg 2 has come out now, right? That's going to be a fun little franchise. But again, you know, no politics, even though, you know, when I saw Ruby Rose was in the first one, I was like, oh, here we go, man. You know, the one that was playing Batwoman. I thought, oh, no, this is going to be awful. She was fucking great in it. When they're not talking politics and they're just bang on doing their acting, they're fucking great. They're great. Some of these actors and actresses, I think, hinder themselves with all of this political bollocks.
Oh, no,
just
they
leave
do.
it out.
Because I just miss the days when you'd get an interview and they would just talk about their movie or their TV show.
And it was very insightful and they came across as very intelligent people. But now, Charlotte, they come across as... I mean, they're the dopiest fuckers ever now, man, I swear. I mean...
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they're talking about things which they haven't got the right knowledge base for.
Mm.
Especially like politics is such a you need to know your knowledge to be able to talk about it in any sort of reasonable or to come across well. But that's the thing, it's they get a camera in front of them or a microphone, but then it's not. I agree the actors haven't helped themselves, but I also think when you look at some of these interviewers, they clearly don't care about the movie or the TV show they're meant to be.
No. Sure, the interviewers are just as bad because you can see that. I mean, when we grew up with people. What was your man that was on, that did that movie, that movie series on BBC? Was it BBC? What was it? He did reviews of movies. He was brilliant. He was a legend in the... Obviously, I don't think, Charlie, you'd know, because I think he's definitely before your time. But someone in the chat will know because they're as old as me. But he used to do movie reviews, and it was just about the movie. And when he interviewed the actors, it was just about the role. He'd ask them how you were doing, obviously, you know, but then after that, then it was straight down to business and talk about the movie. Yeah, actually, so I've read this story. WC reviews. I've read this story. No, it's not. It's not true. Right. So this is what's actually happened. They haven't removed it from the Greatest Hits album at all. Right. What's happened is they brought out another album, right, for 6 to 7 year olds now, or 6 to 11 year olds, or whatever it is. Why you'd be making an album specifically for kids, Queen, I don't know, but their music is fun, let's be honest. So they've removed that song from that album, but if you go out and buy the Greatest Hits album, that song is not going to be missing from it, right? There's a bit of a confused there because it was X that actually fact-checked it when everybody was going around saying that. So that's how I know it's not the actual Greatest Hits album. So people are actually losing their bleeding like minds over nothing. If you buy the Greatest Hits album, Fat Bottom Girls is going to be on Queen's Greatest Hits album. It's just this album that they're bringing out is for kids.
And it's not just that. You've got We Will Rock You, the stage show, with all the Queen songs. And I'm pretty sure that show has got Fat Bottom Girls in. Yeah.
So it's X. It's because of the community notes on X. I know that. So I'm not going to pretend I'm some sort of genius. It's just because X said it. But that's what it is. It's nothing to do. It's nothing to do with the Greatest Hits album. But look, I would be outraged if that did happen, because censorship has gone too far. It's gone too far. I mean, you want to censorship old songs, but yet you look at Rihanna and all of these young girls and Sam Smith and other male singers out there, and they're half naked and they're simulating sex acts on stage and in their music videos and Satanist crap, right? And they're talking about like cancelling a song, Fat Bottom Girls, but yet the trash that they allow our kids to watch today. So where's the logic? You know what I mean? There's no logic. There's no fucking logic here, man. Like, it's if you're gonna censor, you should. In fairness, right? You've got to censor. Now, I wouldn't censorship music because I think it's very important that you don't, right? Because I grew up with rap all my life. That's the type of music I listen to. I listen to everything, but rap, I listen to it a lot, and you know, there's a lot of profanity in rap, and they talk about, you know, smacking bitches up and all of that other stuff. Sorry, YouTube, but I'm just saying that's what they do in songs. I'm not saying I go around doing that, right? So be good to me, right? No demonetization. Anyway, or limiting this train, right? I'm just making the point, right? And they talk about drug culture and cops and all of that, right? But then you see the videos today, right? And as I said, it's literally porno in videos, right? And they want to ban songs like that. Those songs never did us any harm growing up. If you want to ban music, you should be banning the shit that comes out today. But I'm not for censorship. I won't listen to it. I don't listen to it. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't have any bearing or consequence on me. I listen to the music that I grew up with, right? And there might be the odd new song today that I might find on YouTube that's very catchy, that the singer, there's none of that nonsense going on, because there's still artists out there that don't need to take their clothes off or simulate acts on videos to get views. So there's still some people out there that do some great music, right? So, you know, but it's ridiculous.
I'm a Queen fan, and in
Barry Norman.
I'm going through that song, and there's nothing at all which is like offensive or derogatory in the lyrics.
No, there's not. But you see, what's happened is you get activists like Lizzo, and I'm not saying she complained about it, but you get activists like that say, "Oh, fat bottom girls, that's discrimination against people who have a bit of weight on them."
No,
well,
but
that's not her.
What's funny is like that song. It's basically being complimentary. He's basically in the song being like it's sort of like a bit of a fun sort of, yeah, I like to be with fat bottom girls sort of song. So it's not having a go at them in the slightest.
No, it's a fucking great song. I mean, no matter whatever the album is, right? I know it's not the greatest hits because Community Note said it isn't. But whatever the album is, and if they have removed the song from said album, I mean, censorship has gone crazy. It really has. I mean, and I would say again, I would say to the people out there that are outraged about, you know, old songs and all of that, why aren't you outraged with the shit that Sam Smith does, or Rihanna in her videos, or even Beyonce? You know, to do this, you know, they seem to hate Christians over there, your singers and all of that. And then at the same time, as I said, they perform all disgusting acts in front of your kids, simulate them, I should say. So why aren't you all outraged and banning their music? Why are you banning our music that doesn't harm anybody? Like, our music doesn't. I mean, they're cancelling a song because obviously it's called Fat Bottom Girls. But as you said, Charlotte, and as people have said in the chat, like, the lyrics, okay, show me the lyrics that are offensive. Is it because like, they say fat bottom girls? Is it? Is that what it is? Because if that's what you're offended about, well then, do you know what? I really seriously think you people need to, you know, sign yourselves into a mental institution, because there's nothing offensive about that. And if you're being offended for the sake of being offended because you want people to pay attention to you, you're going the wrong way about it. Okay? So stop living your sad little lives and taking out on us, because, you know, there's nothing wrong with Queen's music. right? Freddie's music is timeless. Don't use there. Right? Still to this day, I get goosebumps watching that live. Still to this day, man. I put it on a couple of nights ago. I watched the whole set, right? And when Freddie came out, oh my God, it was electric. The hair stood up on me. No way, man. Get the fucking boat. Leave Freddie alone.
We'll never get another Freddie.
No. There was only one of him,
Helen?
just like Michael Jackson, just like Elvis Presley, even though I don't like Elvis Presley, just like the Beatles, John Lennon. There's only one of them. They'll never come. Bob Marley the same. Only one of him, right? It's no. You leave Freddie's music alone, though.
Here's the thing,
Freddie,
though. Like I said, I'm a Queen
Freddie
fan.
never harmed anybody. No, but that's what pisses me off. No, Freddie never harmed fucking anybody, right? He had to hide his fucking sexuality from people back in those days and all that because his career would have been ruined. Record company tried to screw them over and all, and then they did the Band-Aid thing and they became fucking huge because of that. They were already big in the UK and stuff in some parts of America, but the record company were screwing them over, right?
Yeah,
and he
because
finally
they
made
like
a big...
Freddie.
and he finally made a big, and 5 years later, sure, he was fucking dead anyway. Right? And now people want to cancel him, want to cancel his music. Leave the chap alone. He never did harm to anybody. He brought a lot of joy to people like me and to the young people today because everybody recognizes what a legend and what a genius he actually was. I mean, his voice was just heavenly. I mean, we'll never get a voice like that again. I mean, George Michael was the same, in my opinion. He was up there. But Freddie is just a different level to them all. Yeah, you leave him alone.
The thing is with Freddie's voice, he can do rock. He did rock brilliantly.
Pop.
He could do the gravelly sort of
macho the
rock.
Opera.
But then you get The Show Must Go On, which is an opera song. It's
opera. He could do
I've
opera.
Had too many people try and do that song and fail because it's opera.
Yeah. And he did pop as well. You know, he did pop as well because it's songs like I Want to Break Free. If you actually listen to those songs, they're not really rocky songs. They have a bit of rock music in them, but they're more kind of pop songs. So he did every genre. He did every fucking genre and he did it well. He mastered it. He mastered it. I mean, he was just a G. Yeah, George Michael was the greatest. George Michael is definitely, look at my favorite 3 male singers of all time: Michael Jackson, Freddie Mercury, and I'd put George Michael in there definitely. They're my top 3. And if I could go and see them all, I seriously, if I had a time machine, I'd definitely go back and see Freddie live.
Oh,
and I'd
God,
definitely go and see George. Oh man, George would have been amazing live as well. But Freddie was a genius. You're right, man. You're right.
Well,
and George,
he was a genius because in his songs there was always a story. There was always something being told, and it wasn't even the poppy stuff. Like you're right. Even the stuff which was really poppy off him, it's telling you something. At least there's a message in the right way. There's a story, and he could hide it almost. Like I said, The Show Must Go On. When you learn that he wrote that while he was very ill, I won't say what from because of YouTube, but he was very ill. So it's basically him talking about the end in a song format. But that's not obvious when you listen to it. You have to listen to it a few times. And you have to know what he was going through. And that's what the genius of him was.
Do you know who did a good version of it? When Freddie died, he had a concert in his honor. But Elton John actually sang The Show Must Go On live.
Yeah,
and
that
I
was
actually
his
thought,
voice.
and no, but I had me doubts. Right now, is it better than the Freddie version? Still, no, because Freddie's voice. But I will tell you one thing: Elton John definitely did that song justice. I mean, he wasn't even out of key. He sang it in Elton John style, but the music was the same. The way he sang it was Elton John, but you know, you could tell that at the same time he was paying homage to Freddie. That's my favourite. There's an album where they have the original songs sung by Queen, and then on the second disc, then they have where he did either duets or other artists sang his songs, and Elton John sang The Show Must Go On, and it's actually a great version. Barcelona was off the scale. I mean, that's the song,
Oh yeah.
in my opinion, that shows his true range. I mean, he was just off the charts. TARDIS Spiders, though, 3 favourite male singers were Nat King Cole, Jim Crock, and Gordon Lightfoot. I do know of, well, of course I know Nat King Cole, and I do know Gordon Lightfoot, but I don't know who the guy is in the middle. But if you could name us a song, maybe I do know the song, I just don't know his name. But I want to go back to JWC Reviews' comment there, because he made a comment there that made me laugh. And I want to put it up. But he said they should just rename the song and call it Big Ass Bitches or something.
Well, that's what it would be called nowadays if it was me.
Could you imagine? Oh, Jesus, they'd be cancelled all over again. Let's see, he's got another comment there. Freddie loved baking cakes a lot, too, were never enough. When asked why, he shouted, "I want to bake." Oh, fuck. Oh.
Oh, that was good, JCW.
It was. I know. There was some good ones. But going back to George briefly, though, because, you know, JWC Reviews did bring up George as well. I mean, we all knew that he was a good guy and he did have his problems. I mean, God love him, he did go off the rails when his mother died, right? And obviously we didn't truly understand what his mother meant to him, but obviously she did, right? I mean, obviously we would, because we have relationships with our own mothers. Obviously we love our mother, but you know what I mean? It's with celebrities, it's kind of different. But it was only after he died that we actually saw the true nature of George Michael. And that man was a beautiful man. He paid for a woman's IVF treatment. He was watching Deal or No Deal. And this is a true story. This story was released a few days after he died because your woman wanted to come forward. Now, she told this lovely story. So basically what happened was she was on Deal or No Deal. I think she lost. She lost a lot of money. She gambled and she lost. And George Michael was watching. And the reason why she was there was because her and her partner were trying to have a baby and they couldn't. And she needed some IVF treatment. Isn't that what they call it? Yeah. So she needed to get that treatment. So he rings up the producers of Deal or No Deal, asks to get in. He asks them. He does something with it. He basically, what he does is he ends up paying for all of their treatment. So whatever, how long it went on for.
And it's expensive.
He paid for it, right? And it is expensive. But she ended up getting pregnant. And I think they named the child Georgina or something like that. Or it had Michael in the name or Michelle. It was spelled. They honoured him anyway by naming the child after him. But there was other stuff we heard as well. He was given to charities for years. This is why I like people like George and Freddie and other actors, actresses that are the same ilk and singers and people like that in general. These people just get on with it and don't preach about how much money they gave to charity. You know, like some of the celebrities that you see today. They kept it very private and to themselves. And it was only after they passed away that we'd find out all the good stuff that they done. So I like people like that because it just truly showed me that these men, women, all that are like these two lads, they weren't thinking of themselves. They weren't thinking of their reputations or how it would do them good. They did it out of the goodness of their hearts. And this is why I think people still today adore Freddie and adore George Michael. You know, very protective of them as well. Like, if anybody says anything bad about them, you know, the people will defend them, you know, and they'll die on that hill. You know,
the Queen fan base. Obviously, I don't know George Michael as much because I didn't. I knew his music, but I didn't grow up with it as much. And then when he was, and then I remember hearing the stuff. But I can say, when it comes to Freddie, people are incredibly protective, and I think it's because, and it's something that links a lot of those people you mentioned. I think the problem is we've got nowadays so many stars, which go into the business, whether that's singing, TV, or music. We go in already having a big personality. Like, naturally, they like to be centre of attention. They naturally think they're quite big of themselves. So then they get a bit of fandom or they get a bit of money, and that just makes it worse. Whereas, by all accounts, if people who knew Freddie, I'm guessing the same for George, they were basically incredibly shy. They hated limelight in their private life, and they were introverts. And like Freddie, famously, I remember watching some of the movie, and like I've watched also documentaries about him, and people said, yeah, he could be this massive stage man on show. He could command attention.
But he was a very shy man. He was a very shy man. Yeah.
But if you were in his house, or if you were if he went to a party privately, you wouldn't notice him, people would say, in the room. He would sort of fade into the background unless you wanted to talk to him.
Yeah, he was quite a shy man. That's the thing about Freddie that makes him stand out as well. I mean, his on-stage persona was so completely different to the man. And George Michael was the same, though. He had a great stage presence, but when he was in his private life, he wanted it to be kind of private. But unfortunately for poor George, he always seemed to get himself in a situation where he'd get caught doing something that he shouldn't have been doing. And, you know, we never judged them. That's the thing as well I've noticed. Even when the media were giving George Michael a hard time, when he brought out that song Fast Love, do you remember when he was caught in the toilet in Beverly Hills, right? I remember that, and there was big controversy, and everybody was giving out about, because you had Hugh Grant earlier before that. He was caught in with a you know what in the back of a car, right? So there was already like big hype, and I remember George Michael got an absolute, because it happened in America, and America being a very Christian country. I mean, he absolutely got it in the neck. What does he do? What does George Michael do? He decides, you know what? Okay, people think I'm blah, blah, blah. I will take the piss out of everybody. And that's exactly what he did with Fast Love. And he took the piss out of them all. And you know what? He even got more respect for that. That's when he actually then consolidated himself as one of the greatest artists out there, because this could have very easily killed his career. But he used that to make his career stronger. I mean, that's just legendary. I mean, that song, even today, I listened to that song recently, watched the music video, and I just had a big smile on my face. And I was also a little bit nostalgic, and I was saying, Jesus Christ, I remember all the baloney about this fucking incident. And look what he did to turn it around. What a fucking genius. I'll always respect him like that. The sad thing for me, though, was how he died and how Freddie died. I mean, Freddie died an awful death, unfortunately, with that.
Way too young.
As we can't. Way too young as well. But George Michael, I mean, that was heartbreaking. He dies outside in the cold in a car on his own. Oh, no, his boyfriend was in the car. He was in the bed. And he died in bed alone. And that's what fucking kills me on Christmas. And then, of course, obviously the news broke he died, and then everybody then, because, last Christmas, because obviously, you know, it was going to happen if he died on Christmas. Everybody would always make that. And it's become a bit of but it was sad. I remember that Christmas. I didn't actually enjoy that Christmas too much. I didn't actually.
No, if there's
Some of these artists have an impact on you. You don't realize, actually. People say, well, you're getting sad over this, that, and dying and all of this. Do you know what? You don't actually realize it until these people, because okay, they're not living around you 24/7, but they've been in your home. They've been on your TV, or you've went to see them in a concert, They've been part of your life. Yeah, they're not family or anything like that, but they have been part of your family, because they've been not in front and center on your TV screen. So, yeah, you do get a bit for some.
You get connected. I can remember the day when Robin Williams, it got announced he died.
I think everybody was dead, but you're right. I mean, his death was the hardest.
For like that whole day, I felt just weird. It was like you said, I didn't know him, but he was a big part of my childhood because of Aladdin, and then some of the like Flubber and some of the other stuff, Hook. So many movies that I either watched when I was a child or when I was a bit older, but I was sort of still young. And then I adored his stand-up. I could watch just hours and hours of his stand-up. And I'd love to watch interviews because he was such an interesting person just to listen to talk. He didn't have to be cracking jokes. And once again, like I said, I think I've always said, some of the best artists actually come from these sort of introverted, shy, sort of, who almost look down on themselves types of people. Because when Robin would speak about growing up and his childhood, he would say, I can do voices. I can do sort of quick sort of improv so much because I was lonely as a child. So that's how I entertained myself. That's how I sort of got through my bullying when I was a kid at school and so much stuff he went through. So it was his defense mechanism. And then you sort of thought back to all his comedy and you think, oh God, that makes sense now.
I mean, everybody will say that, their favorite movies of his is Dead Poets Society and Good Morning Vietnam. And don't get me wrong, they're up there as some of his greatest movies. But for me, and it still resonates with me to this day, but my favorite performance of his, and I think his best performance personally now, and I know people are going to disagree with me on this one, right? And if you still have a favorite Robin Williams performance,
put it in the chat.
Please let me know. Please let me know in the chat. But my favorite performance of his has to be when he played Mrs. Doubtfire. That role, I don't know what it is. Even I watched that movie just recently, and Zombie Box Review says, I think in relation to Freddie, his last music video makes me cry. I struggle to watch it.
I get emotional.
I recently watched Mrs. Doubtfire again, and there's a scene in it where he actually does the different voices, and I just got very sad just watching this genius work on script, because the world, look, we've lost some celebrities that made our lives a little bit happy. Robin Williams put smiles on people's faces. For me, Michael Jackson's music inspired me. He got an awful lot of stick, as you know, as well. Hook was a great movie as well. I will agree with you. That's up there as well. I forgot to mention Hook. That's one that, listen, I love that. That's my favorite interpretation of the whole Peter Pan universe. I do like Finding Neverland with Johnny Depp as well. Was that the name of that movie? That was a great story as well, actually. That was based off, I think it was the writer of Peter Pan, though, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was based off the book, I think, more.
He's great in Jumanji as well. Jesus, when you bring these up now as well. But Mrs. Doubtfire, definitely for me, is still top dog. But Hook and Jumanji.
I think for me, Hook, the moment which I just adore
the field fight
is that moment when it's near the end of the movie, because obviously for a good chunk of that, he's the grown-up Peter. He's been like grown up. He's not. And that moment when he gets the outfit back on. And then he's with the Lost Boys, and he does the cockerel sound, and he starts flying, and just he played that moment perfectly, because you could see Peter Pan again, but he was an adult, so he still had that bit of adult about him. But he was just grinning and joy and everything that is what Peter Pan's about, and I just adore that moment.
His movies put a smile. Look, he's done some serious movies as well, but his movies always, because it doesn't matter. Even RV, he's got this movie called RV. The movie is shite, by the way. I just want to tell you, it's a typical of these RV family vacation movies where things go wrong. But you know what makes the movie? Him. It's just him alone, watching just him perform and let loose is just something to behold, and it's beautiful. But that is true. The AWC reviews, he did. The film company hired a number because he'd insist, and there's actually one famous homeless fella. He's had him in most of his fucking movies. Like he had a heart of gold. You're right. You know. Obviously, there's always been conspiracy theories around his death, which are not so nice because apparently involved, sexual stuff. But, what I will say is that for people like him, Jim Carrey, and other comedians like that, they do have a dark side to them.
Oh, they have to.
Oh, yeah, they have to. And when they go down that dark side, that's when the depression kicks in. So while he was putting on a happy face for us all and smiling and making us laugh, inside he was probably, and it's horrible because I've suffered severe depression, and I can tell you the places it takes you is not good. And you're always the life and the soul of the party. You always are. Jim Carrey's had his stuff in recent years. You've seen it. He's kind of lost the plot a little bit.
But he's coming back now, which I'm so happy to see.
He's coming back, yeah, same. I think he's straightened himself out. But he went and he talks about it. It's horrible. I just wish he was still here. If there was one celebrity, look, I'd bring Michael Jackson back as well, right? If I could bring 3 celebrities back, myself would be Robin Williams, Michael Jackson, and who else would I bring back? Freddie. I'd have to bring back Freddie Mercury because I want to see him live. But that's who I'd bring back. But I'd bring back Robin Williams because he'd give us a laugh. I'd bring back Michael Jackson because his music is an inspiration, and I think if he was here today and seeing what's happening to our children, I think
he'd be defensive.
He would get out there and he'd put his neck on the line, and he'd actually cancel himself to get his point across. So that's why I'd bring him back. And of course, I'd bring back Freddie because he was the greatest performer.
Not just that, I think the likes of Freddie now would revolutionize music again, because he
and not only that, I think in some instances he'd be horrified at what's going on with this ideology as well, and I think he would speak up. I think he'd still advocate for gay, lesbian, bi people and trans. He'd advocate for them all, but he'd say, listen, we're crossing a line here. I think he would. I think he was an intelligent man as well, and I don't think he'd want to see children's lives being ruined in that way. The best homeless person on screen, says JWC Reviews, was the littlest hobo. There's a voice keeps on calling me down the road. That's where I'll always be. There's a voice that keeps on calling.
Yeah, but this I that's what I loved about the Sonic movies when I watched them, just to see Jim literally
Listen,
back in his heyday, back in his
I thought he was
stride.
going to be over the top, but he wasn't. He actually got the balance right. He hasn't got the balance right in a lot of years, I'd have to say. He's either been way over the top, like with The Mask, Liar, Liar, films like that, even Yes Man, right? Bruce Almighty. But in this movie, he toned it down. It wasn't as Jim Carrey as you would expect. He actually did tone it down, and I thought he was much better for it. I actually like him as Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah, he
And
was
apparently he's
sinister.
retired, but I thought he retired, man. I thought after the second movie he was retiring, and that's why I was pissed, because I knew they were bringing out a third Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and clearly he would have known this. So why sign up if you're gonna retire after that, mate? I love those movies and I love you in it. Give us the trilogy, man. Give me the trilogy. You have to stay. You have to stay, Dr. Robot. You have to stay.
Here's
You
what I'm
have to.
thinking. Like, who's going to be the villain? Like, Sonic only has one villain, and it's Robotnik, if you know the games.
I think they have in later games, though, Sega introduced other villains now. I think there's more than him.
Yeah, but
Because
they
remember,
either became
Knuckles.
friends or stopped being a villain.
Yeah, well, that's true, because look at Knuckles and Sonic at the start of the movie, and then by the end of the movie, they're the best of buddies. And I love that. Listen, I loved the fourth one, but I didn't think the second one would actually surpass the first one. But I think it does. I actually think the second one's better than the first one. Do you know when we were talking about sequels better than the original?
Mhm.
I think the second one is better than the original, but I love both movies. I mean, and then the Mario movie topped it off for me because they actually got that right and they didn't screw it up. And I was so happy. And Cheryl will tell you, I was like a little kid in here watching it. I was laughing, I was screaming when things appeared on screen. I just relived my childhood during the whole movie. It was the best movie that I have seen in a couple of years. And I even said it, this is one of the best movies I've seen. And it still is. That and The Pope's Exorcist by Sony are two of the movies that I've really enjoyed over the last couple of years. And of course,
Talk
the
about
Sonic.
complete opposites as well.
Queen Charlotte, good night, Queen Charlotte, and
Good night,
Noel
TARDIS Spider.
from TARDIS Spider. Don't forget, just because I know I have a couple of members in the chat right now. Don't worry if you are wondering what happened to member stream. I will be doing 2 member streams this week. I'm going to try squeeze them in somewhere while I'm doing the other channel. I'm determined to make this work. I haven't overextended myself. I just have to fine-tune things, but I'll get everything going and running smoothly. But I will have a second. So you'll have the one on Friday. We will have another one. What day is it tomorrow? Wednesday. I might actually do it before Queen Charlotte and PD Rich come on tomorrow and have a member stream tomorrow where we'll just have a bit of a chit chat as well. So yeah, come and join me for that. And then on Friday we'll have the normal members. That's to make up for not doing the one last week, okay? Because we didn't do Friday night contact. So I don't want me members thinking I've forgotten about just Pope's Exorcist was dodgy. I mean, it had the typical tropes in it, but I thought Russell Crowe's performance was decent as the priest. I mean, it was based on a true story, so I mean, it was interesting. I liked it. I mean, the movie that I am really worried about is this new Exorcist movie, because I consider The Exorcist the best horror ever made. I mean, I grew up watching that as a kid and it terrified the shit out of me. That's why I'm immune to horrors now. Nothing frightens me now. Cheryl will tell you, Cheryl won't even watch a horror with me anymore now. There's no point. She'd be sitting there screaming on there. What? I mean, he just popped his head out. I mean, it's a jump scare. It's like I'm immune now. So that was the closest movie that actually did something for me. So, that's the way I judge horror movies now. Does it give me a little bit of a spark? Like Sinister did, right? I like that. it actually had one jump scare in it that wasn't done for cheap tricks and was a genuine jump scare. And I actually did kind of, didn't jump fully, but I was like, oh, yeah, that's, more of that. But just don't overdo the jump scares. And they didn't. The fourth Sinister movie is great. It's just a pity they followed it up with the second. Anyway, Sonic 3 begins production soon, but without any cast, though, because of the strike. Yeah, I read that. Well,
it's one of those movies that actually can get away with that.
Yeah, they can get away with it, do the Sonic and whoever they're bringing in parts, and then, but the writer's strike is a lot of bullshit anyway. You don't deserve any more money because you've been writing shit, so get back to work, yeah? We're sick of yous now, or just give up our jobs because you're shit at them. And
who's that actor? Who's Negan? I know his name. So he's in Supernatural.
The TWD was in
Jeffrey something. Oh, I know this actor's name. It's getting on my nerves now. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I think that is Negan. Who's very good as well.
You had the exorcism of Emily Rose, which was brilliant. Do you remember about the girl and she gets possessed? It was a bit like The Exorcist, but they actually did this very well. It was called The Exorcism of Jeffrey Dean Morgan, is it?
Yeah, that's him. He was in Supernatural as well, so I know him.
That was pretty good. I actually did like the two Exorcist movies that they did years ago. They did, I think it was called Exorcist the Beginning and Exorcist Domination. And there were there's two iconic scenes in both of those movies. As I said, one of the movies, you actually see a kid getting torn to pieces by hyenas because they're evil hyenas. Like, it's very graphic. Like, it's very graphic movie. But it was about basically the two movies were done by two separate companies, but they kind of had similar scripts, if you know what I mean. So, but one went one way and one went the other way. But basically, it was the origin story of the priest from The Exorcist is what these two movies were based on. And I'm telling you, they were actually good movies. They were very well done. It's just they get very overlooked because people thought, oh, it's The Exorcist, it's going to be the same shit. It's not. They put a new take on it, and it's actually very, very well put together. It's just people don't give them a chance. But see, I am worried about this new one.
I'm weird. I can read horror stuff. Like, I can read Stephen King very happily,
but you can't
I can't watch it.
So you're like Cheryl. If I forced you and Cheryl to watch, say, The Omen, right, which is a classic horror movie, your nerves would be done after. Would you be like?
My issue is more, I'd watch it and I might be fine while I'm watching it, but then I'd try to sleep that night and all the imagery would just play in my head while I was trying to sleep. It's like afterwards, stuff sticks with me if it's horror. Like, I'll feel like something's watching me, or I'll feel like there's something around the corner.
That's her. That's her in there. She's the same. I never watch a horror with her again, man. Because after I swear, she couldn't sleep, man. Couldn't sleep. So
I can't.
You know what happens, right? So the wife can't sleep. I can't sleep because nobody can sleep. Ted can't sleep. Nobody can sleep. So now, man. Now she even watched Saw a couple of weeks ago, and I said it's a bad idea, man. It's a bad idea. And then, do you know what? She was determined to watch it. And she got halfway into the second one. She gave up because she thinks the second one is absolutely rubbish, and everybody agrees with that one. Stigmata was a good movie. That was a great movie, good possession movie. That was very good. Haven't watched it. Yeah, he was brilliant. Yeah, he was in the sequel. He was in the prequel, should say. He was in the prequel, right? And then there's another one that was done, but he's in one of the prequels, and he's brilliant. You're absolutely right. He's in the prequel, and he's a great actor. But they're great movies. People overlook them. If you're a fan of the Exorcist franchise, even though you shouldn't really be, because the other two movies, I mean, the third one was decent. The second one just forget about it. But if you like the Force one, go back and watch the Origins, man. It's actually pretty decent. When Sky shows a film, do they pay writers and film studios? Then I don't know.
Well,
I'm pretty sure that
I don't think they actually get
sign a
paid.
contract.
I would guess the distributor of the film would have to agree to Sky to show it, so there must be money exchanged there, like Paramount or like Lionsgate or Disney, whoever's actually made the movie technically would have to get paid to show it on another service, you'd think.
JWC Reviews also says there, The Omen, 1976 is a horror classic that ranks alongside The Exorcist. I would agree with you. I actually like the trilogy though. Second movie is great. The third movie obviously is older. It's not as good as the first two. The Entity, Holton. Yeah, The Entity is actually, for anybody that doesn't know, so basically this is based off a true story as well. So a woman is basically let's just say an entity has intentions towards a woman, and she has kids and stuff, and they try to trap it and all of this, and it's an interesting film. It's an old horror, The Entity. I would advise you not to watch it on your own though, because it is one of those. I also like the Nun film. I keep seeing the trailer for the second Nun film, and I haven't even watched the first film, because when I saw the trailer for the first one and I saw the trailer for the second one, and it suffers from the same problem. These cheap jump scares, I'm just not into it. I mean, in the second trailer, your woman is looking at something, and then a face comes out. I mean, it was so obvious it was going to happen that it's not even scary anymore. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. Like in Sinister, you didn't see it coming. That's what you have to do, isn't it, Charlie? You have to surprise. I mean, if you see it coming a mile away and then it happens, you're not going to have that. I mean, I hate when they show clips of people in cinemas today and they watch the first Nun movie and they're all going, all of this, like, right? I mean, what are you going for?
It's because that's what they used to. It's like, I'll never forget, I went with school, it was a school trip, but we went to the theatre and we went to see Woman in Black. And I'll never forget that experience, because first it was obviously, I was actually in the theatre, sat down watching it. Yeah. And that is a ghost story. It's basically a ghost story sort of play. And I'll never forget two things that happened. One was like the show had started and they were on the stage, and then I happened to be sat right on the end of a row, was the seat I got given. And then I had that feeling that I was talking to you about, like, oh, there's something behind me, there's something going on, but I couldn't see anything. And then all at once, one of the actors actually came out from the side and was in where we all sat. So they were running up the side of where the seats were. So it was right next to me, this actor. And they didn't announce they were going to do this. And then you were just like, oh God, so I can't even sit here and watch it because there's stuff going to come next to me. And then there was another moment, and it's this idea of, like you said, jump scares and anticipation. And in this bit of the play, there's the main character who's male, I can't remember his name, is in the house, like the old haunted house. And he's just lied on the bed. And I'm not kidding you, there was about 5 minutes or probably longer of nothing going on. He was just being asleep on the stage. And then it just got you more and more like, something's got to happen, something's got to happen, something's got to happen. And then nothing happened. He woke up, so then you sort of calmed yourself down. And then 5 minutes later on, that's when they did the scare. Because they'd done that whole process of, God, you know how like these films go. He's by himself, having a sleep in a haunted house.
It's
And
like they
they've
build up the anticipation, but then when you expect it to happen, it doesn't happen. So then you get the relief. You're like, oh, it
Yes,
didn't
that's
happen.
exactly what they
And
did.
then bang, 10 minutes later, bang. And then
And
that's a genuine scare.
I've never jumped so much in my seat. And I proper screamed.
Yeah, I love those type of plays though. But Nicholas Horton says, how about the fourth Omen film with daughter of Damien? I've never seen that.
Oh, you've got
I've
something
watched
to
the
find
oth-
now.
I've watched the updated version of the Omen, but there's a fourth movie. I might have to check that out. But JWC Review says he thought 2 was dodgy, but 3 was great. And Sam Neill was in the third one. It's actually weird, isn't it? Because I think the second one is great, and the third one, and I do love Sam Neill, and I think Sam Neill plays a great Damien, by the way. But I don't know. I just, for some weird reason, the kid that plays Damien in the second one, he's a great actor. He convinces me, and like when I see him on screen, I honestly do believe that he does have the power to bleed and kill me. Like, you know what I mean? Although I don't know. The only Stephen King movie. Oh, Holden says I'm a sucker for being scared. That nun creeps me out. I mean, the nun looks creepy. But I mean, if you do look, I'll have to probably check it out. I haven't checked it out, so it's probably unfair to judge. It probably is a decent horror movie. So I mean, the second trailer keeps popping up every time I watch someone's bleeding YouTube channel. Oh, coming soon, Nun 2. So I have to fucking same with the new Exorcist trailer. Like they keep popping up. So they and this is I want to tell you something weird before I read this out. So for anybody that follows me on Twitter, you know, a couple of days ago, I put up a lovely steak dinner that I cooked up on me Twitter, right? Or X, whatever you want to call it, right? And I was obviously talking to Cheryl about putting it up to show everybody. Guess what happens? I start getting ads on Facebook, how to make the perfect steak sandwich.
Oh, that's creepy. That is creepy.
They're listening to us.
Which device
Right?
did you have near you?
What? I had my phones and
There you go.
my
That's what I
laptop.
was
I had
asking
them.
then.
Right. So I'll go into Facebook because I'm going in to sort things out or whatever, or throw a video up. And next of all, it says the notification, how to make the perfect steak sandwich. And I'm like, I just had steak. I mentioned steak, and now I've got an ad for steak. And I never get ads for steak on Facebook. So I'm kind of like, I'm even like, how am I getting it? That's weird. But I knew this was kind of happening. You know, people have noticed this. They'll talk about something and then ads will pop up about that very same topic or similar. And it's like, what the hell? Nun 2, Nuns on the Run. I have to say, though, the sequel does look good. But JWC Review says the only Stephen King movie ever to scare me was Salem's Lot, a fantastically creepy and thrilling movie. One of the jump scares made me squeal. Great. It is a great movie. It is
It's so hit and miss when it comes to Stephen King movies.
Yeah, I think that's his best. I think that's the best. Come on, let's be honest. I think that is the best. Yeah, that would be, in my opinion. Your phone is coming to get you now. I mean, it all joking aside, though, it is weird that I put up a video of me lovely steak dinner that I've cooked with me rice and me salad, and it's looking lovely and beautiful. And then, like I say to Sharon, I'm going to put this up on Twitter because I've been throwing up me dinner. So I said, I'm going to throw this one up. Going to put her steak dinner up. That's exactly the way I put it. And then I go on to Facebook and I find that the steak sandwich ad. Nah. So Mark Zuckerberg's been doing it for years anyway. We know that. We know that these companies have been listening into us. We got to be careful. This is why I say be careful what apps and all you're on. I'm actually thinking of coming off Facebook. The only problem is that I have a couple of groups on Facebook that are obviously people are running them for me. And I don't want to kind of leave them because two of those groups, especially the classic Doctor Who group, I've had that since I started my journey on YouTube, and I don't want to throw that away. We've got over 1,000 people in that Facebook group, so I'm proud of that group because that's the group obviously where I met Cheryl as well. So it has a bit of a connection, so I don't want to get rid of it. But there's me missus there now. We're still live. Yes, I'm heading off now. Okay.
Yeah, we're coming up to 3 hours. Sorry, Cheryl, it's my fault.
Charlotte says, sorry, it's her fault, but in reality, it's actually my fault.
Nothing is ever Charlotte's fault.
Yeah, it's about
Nothing will ever be Charlotte's fault, ever.
Okay. There you go, Charlotte. You've been exonerated
Oh,
by the
thank
missus.
you.
So there you go. Anyway, we will wrap it up there. This has been a very good conversation. Good stream. And I just want to thank everybody in the chat that actually took part. Look, as I said, next week we'll wing it again. We'll see where the chat goes. But tomorrow, myself, PD Rich, and obviously Queen Charlotte here will be back tomorrow. So come and join us for that stream. But we had a good one today. So we'll let you get off now and enjoy the rest of your evening so you can listen to someone else have a bit of a rant and moan. And sorry about the rant earlier, but I had to get it off my chest, and it's off now and it's done. And I feel much better for it. But we'll see where this brings us. Best Stephen King film is Shawshank, with Morgan Freeman playing the part, which was originally a red-flamed, ruddy-faced Irishman in the book. Also, actually, no, hold on, because he also did The Green Mile, didn't he? Isn't that Stephen King as well?
I think so.
So, Shawshank Redemption is a great movie, and I just recently watched it, and that's why it's such a classic. It's up there. But I actually think The Green Mile is up there as well. Jesus, that movie makes me cry. It does. I'm not messing.
That's why I refuse to watch it, because I cry at like the silly things. So I'll cry loads at that.
Same with Shawshank Redemption. I actually get very upset when the new prisoner comes in, the fella that's full of himself, the young lad, and he passes his exams, and then the bleeding warden has him shot. Like, I was gutted, man. Gutted. And then when Brooks died, when Brooks ended up, because he couldn't take it out on the outside, when he passed away, oh, man, that's heartbreaking. But, yeah, Shawshank and The Green Mile, absolutely brilliant movies. But, look, Queen Charlotte, were you going to add something there, and then we'll do the channel shoutouts?
No.
Okay, well, let's get straight onto the channel shout. So we had him on earlier, the Legend of Traveling TARDIS. He's still in the chat there. They have a stream later on, so go and check them out. So we'll go with Queen Charlotte next.
Yep, so you can catch me on Type 40. It's now been renamed. It's no longer the Spacebook with Dan and Co. In the next couple of weeks, we're looking for coming back to our live shows on Thursdays. And obviously the other podcast Dan's doing, and I might pop up on other things when it comes to podcasts because it's the 60th. And you'll catch me here during the week.
Exactly. And I'll be back tomorrow with the gang, which includes Queen Charlotte. And of course, then, as I said, I will get that member stream out before then. So I won't give a time on that one, because that would be basically when I've got up, been awake, got a coffee into me, and I've, get me fuel into me first. And then we'll do that. Good stream, mate. Cheers, everybody. Yes, don't forget to subscribe to all the channels. Scottish Stavros and Friends, Wrestle with Pop Culture was in there earlier as well. So go and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to that channel, where it'll feature wrestling and some chats with Queen Charlotte, Sean, and he has on other guests as well. So go and check out Daniel's channel there as well. And every other YouTuber and streamer that we support. You know who they are by now, guys. But just in case you still haven't subscribed, what the hell? Go and subscribe. Don't forget to share. don't forget to like, because that's important as well. And if you can, if there's anything else that you didn't add in the chat, you can always go to the comment section. If you leave a comment, I will comment, of course, or I'll try to comment as long as YouTube let me know that you've commented, because I have been this comment off a lot of yous is, Noel, I've wrote a comment up. This is the second time, but it doesn't seem to be going up. So, YouTube is still censoring your asses, but if they don't censor your asses and you do happen to comment, and if I can, if obviously it's a comment that, I can respond back to, I'll respond back to. Okay. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. There's Teddy. He's looking at me there. We went out for a walk earlier on. We played a bit of ball. He's a bit tuckered out now, but he's looking at me there. So he's obviously looking for something. So you can wait there, buddy. So we're going to wrap up. So thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll also be over on Noel, the Red Devil, where we're talking the latest Manchester United stuff. We'll be doing match reactions, Eric Ten Hag's press conferences, and all of that. And I do plan, hopefully this weekend, on doing a couple of gaming streams because it's been a while. And I actually want to do some. I'm actually in the gaming humor now. You go through phases.
You have to be in the mood for it.
Yeah. So I'm actually in the mood. So we'll do something this weekend. We might do another episode of Ghostbusters. As you know, I'm playing the remastered version of the original game. We've already done episode 1 over there. So if you want to check that out, because we're going to be doing the second one, check it out. And that is it for me. So I'll say good night. Queen Charlotte is going to say
good night, everybody.
And I'll say good night on behalf of Christian. And thank you for all your comments and your questions. And we will see you again tomorrow. Bye, folks. Have a good one.
Good night.
I'll be here all day with this trailer. Right, did that trailer play?
Yes, and we're still live now.
Right. Well, hold on. Yeah, I have to put. Yeah, but I had to pull out the wire, folks, because the trailer did not play on StreamYard at all this time. Normally it plays and it skips to bits. It didn't play at all, so I've had to knock out the camera so you get to see Teddy there, Teddy Bush. So Brush, I should say. Basil Brush. What's Basil Brush? Bush. What? Brush? Do you know what? Mandela effect. Who gives a fuck? Bye.